Uh,
Well, I mean, half of your head is better than a lot of people's whole head, so we'll take what we can get, I guess.
uh, I guess a whole head's better than a head hole.
Huh. I
Well,
think
you need a couple, you need a few head holes, eye sockets,
Yeah,
ears,
there are some important ones there.
but you don't need a hole in the head. I think I sent the invite out to everybody. Yeah.
send it out to the admins,
Good morning, Mr. Beans.
our fearless admins.
This guy wakes up that handsome naturally, Tom. I don't even think he
Does
combs
he?
his hair. Oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's just a wild,
Uh-huh.
wild beast appeal, I guess, or something for the
Yeah.
Freak of
ladies.
nature. I'm a freak of nature.
Uh-huh.
Freaking
I have a bit of a freaky nature myself.
we'll have to turn Mr. Beans and Bob loose in a group of women and see who comes out alive.
There you go. I'll tell you what.
The world's most charismatic man and the world's handsomest man. That would be,
Yeah, that'd be that, wouldn't it?
yeah,
I was
all of that.
I was at the meet and greet at the Yakima conference last year, and I was sitting at a table with 8 women. Okay, there were the She Squatchers and the Northwest Sasquatch uh, girls, sisters, and Lee and Cindy, and somebody says Bob's here, and all that was left was this napkin floating in the air down to the table. I was all by myself.
From the breeze of them whisking by you so fast, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they vacated that table so fast. Oh, I told Bob, you're still a champion.
I guess there's different degrees, eh? And just when you think
Bob,
you're
Bob's just in a class by himself.
just when you think you're king, somebody like Bob comes in and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
How was old Bob doing anyway?
he's doing all right. He's better. I mean, for 92 years old. Geez, unreal.
Was he 93, 2 or 3? Somebody told me it was 3,
92.
but
No, he'd be 93 this year.
hey, did you ever
But day after years or same day you are, something like that.
well, I'm the 16th. I'm the 16th. What is
And he's
he?
the 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2 days after yours.
He's only 2 days short of perfection.
That's right.
Or I'm only 2 days short of perfection. It depends on your perspective, I guess.
Hey, I've got a birthday that's so special. Even all of Canada celebrates it with me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually I've got the king of the tomato plants out there on my deck.
Oh yeah.
Sue says it's a world champion, and we named it Thom.
Oh, well, as a matter of fact,
with the H, of course.
these are cherry tomatoes. They're a little
Yeah.
orange cherry. Oh my heavens, they are so delicious. It's unreal.
Well, tomatoes are actually a fruit. I mean, I think tomatoes are, you think of them as a vegetable, but I think they're a fruit, aren't they?
They're a fruit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a tropical perennial. Actually, if you grow them like in hydroponically, where you control the atmosphere, they just keep growing and producing tomatoes. They don't stop year
Yeah.
round. Mm.
Well, this one's a real kingpin, according to Sue. She says it's the best, biggest, most productive plant she's ever had.
Wow. And for Sue, that's saying something.
That is saying something, because she could make the Sahara Desert be a be a
Mhm.
garden paradise.
Yep,
Talk about green thumbs.
I've seen her gardened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now you're a little bit high, Tom. You got to just a little bit better centered. Your fans want to see all of you.
All of me.
Why
Why
not take
not
all
take all of me?
until Bob comes in, and then it's,
Yeah.
they can take you or leave you, and it's always usually the
Mhm.
latter. Yeah. Well, I wonder
Then
where our
I
get.
start getting. Oh, let me say hi to Michelle here.
Hey, can you when we go on the air, can you cut off all your other
Yes.
everything else, because your reception is bad as it is. I think if you
Yeah,
got a bunch of other stuff going, it's just going to hurt it. You already kind of broke up once.
my Wi-Fi here is so terrible.
Yeah, but it's still, if you don't have other things running in the background,
Yeah.
it should be better.
Uh,
How's your little buddy Ian doing? I know
he stayed in Germany. He didn't want to come over here. Um, he's doing all right. But he's just set in his ways, and he has a routine, and he doesn't want to change it. You know, Michelle and the family has moved over here now. They live in Florida,
yeah.
and he didn't want to come, so he's still there.
Oh.
Him and his little penny gigs.
Oh God.
he didn't want to leave his penny gigs behind.
Now what is he? This is a real funny character. He used to be just for people listening. I'm actually recording this. I always record some free game show for the YouTube people. But anyway, he used to be a roadie or a road manager or something for AC/DC, didn't he?
He was the sound engineer for AC/DC. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's even.
Yeah.
That's even, higher up there. Sound engineer is quite the important job for a band like that.
Yeah. And of course he's autistic, and I really think that that Malcolm and Angus took very good care of him when they were on the road.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's how I met Till Lindemann too.
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up is because he had a funny name for the Sasquatch people, didn't he? What did he call them?
Yeah, Sad Squish.
Sasquatch.
Sad Squish.
Sasquatch.
Yeah. He's a funny, but I'll tell you the type of guy he is. I mean, he's Australian, and he has a home on the beach in Tasmania, and he receives income from it. He's turned it over to a property manager there, and they rent it out, and he gets money from it every month. And he had it set up that if anything happens to him, that money comes to me. And it's just that's so special. I don't I don't even want it. I don't need it. But he did that all on his own.
Can you make sure that you put a clause in there that I'm the next in succession?
No, I'll make sure it goes back to his sons.
Well, that's okay. I like the first one. I'm just joking.
You like the first one better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Bean we'll finance Mr. Beans for a worldwide tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can go and just sit in front of an auditorium and have light coming out of his eyes and just look at people for.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I wish I could do some of the things that Sasquatch could do, man. That'd be fun.
Oh, now my teacher told me we have no powers that you did not at one time have. And,
Yeah, I believe.
We screwed the pooch on that one.
yeah, well, what he says, what you did is you stopped adapting to your environment and started adapting your environment to you. And we did. We moved indoors.
Yeah,
That was the first step. And so many of those things that they do are applicable to an outdoors lifestyle, but not to an indoors lifestyle.
mhm.
Well, you know, time's got a way of fixing things. All these people who can't afford a home, they're all living in, you know, in campers, and you know, there's millions of people out there now who pretty much got to go back to nature in some form.
Yeah,
You know, I wonder about that can't afford a home thing, because yeah, in the inner cities it's very, very expensive, you know. But at the same time that they were paying $2,000 a month rent in Seattle, I was paying $435 a month in the town I lived in. Okay. There was 12% unemployment in Seattle. There was 4% unemployment in the town I lived in. Okay. Those people who were homeless there were homeless because, not because they didn't have income, but because they chose to spend the income on other things like drugs and booze. So, you know, where does it lie? Yes, I'm totally supportive of anybody who needs help getting off the street and into a home, but I'm not supportive of supporting people who won't do anything to support themselves.
yeah. He,
You know, a hand up is one thing, a handout is something totally different.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there who are just completely been screwed over by the reality of their parents, the living situations, everything. You know, that there's a lot of sad stories out there. Nobody's sleeping on the street because they, you know, basically because they're crushed. That's what it is. So
there may be some psychological factors involved there too that I'm not seeing. But my point is,
they're not happy campers, put it that way.
yeah, if you can't find an apartment where you live that you can afford, go somewhere else. There's other places with opportunity, but usually these people just don't want to leave the people that are around.
You should see what's going on in California. They have people buy these trailers and stuff that live in, and they stack them up on the street, and you know, it's just a big mess.
Oh, I know, but then California's been building a big mess for how many years?
Since
You know,
forever, man.
yeah.
I want to stay
Yeah.
away from that state.
I
Except
grew up,
maybe the north. I heard the northern part of California is okay.
well, not really. I mean, San Francisco, you know, we're gonna give them so many millions of dollars because they're they were descended from slaves. So you're going to take a state that never allowed slavery, tax the people who never owned slaves, and give to people who never were slaves. Where's the logic in that? Huh?
Well, yeah, the bright on the bright side, you can send your kids to school in California, and they get a free introduction to porn.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh,
Topsy-turvy world, for sure. That's Sasquatch got a lot going on. They don't have politics, they don't have economy, they don't have problems like that.
yeah. It's I hate to say it. I'm glad I'm not my grandkids' age, because I see the end of the republic now. What's it going to be in another 20 years?
Oh, I think it's gonna get some kind of like a superficial bullshit reset, and then you got another 100 years of, you know, the same kind of crap. That's the way I look
Mhm.
at it. we're not getting out of this quick, that's for sure.
No, you can't because the look at the mindset of the kids coming up. It's. I read something just a bit ago, said today's children are of the generation that if you'll stop crying, I'll buy you something nice. Where we're the generation, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. And it makes a difference, these people expect something for nothing. I overheard a conversation one day, a group of high school kids talking about this new music machine type player of some type. I don't know exactly what it was. And they were just trying to decide whether to save up some money and buy it or just steal it. Just matter of fact, that's their line of reasoning.
Yeah, well, you also have a generation or two generations of people who never really go outside. They just stay
That's
inside.
it. That's
I mean, I used to play in the streets. We'd play in bicycles and ride around.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Let's kick this show off.
Well, we got a few minutes. Hey, Carter, how you doing?
A few minutes.
Stunningly.
Did you polish the dome this morning?
Well, so anyways,
I polished the dome, and I had a sucker for breakfast, just in your honor. You gotta love it, baby.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of like share the same kind of heart or whatever. Carter.
Hey, you got
we're both rock and rollers when we were young. And once you're kind of a rock and roller, it never kind of goes away.
You got
No,
my
it really doesn't,
name
you
wrong
know.
there, bud.
What?
You got my name wrong.
Oh, Tater Tot. Oh yeah.
You're Tot.
Oh geez. What a disgrace.
I agree.
What a that's
That's
a demotion.
blasphemy.
That's a demotion.
That's blasphemy.
Mark Hobbler. Mark Hobbler is our what do you call it? Famous host. She goes around. She goes around doing all these big events and stuff.
Oh,
Headliner.
geez.
You're a headliner. She's our headliner.
Well, at least I'm not the most beautiful woman. Like you're the most handsomest man. I mean, geez.
You're the most beautiful woman here.
For some reason, nobody ever invites me to conferences and stuff.
I don't know. Have you seen Carter in high heels? He's pretty cute, and when he steps out.
Well, you've been peeping in my window again.
Uh-huh.
My calves do look pretty good in some 6-inch
Yeah.
heels, though.
By the way, I prefer the brunette wig to the blonde. I
Well,
think.
that's good because that's my natural color.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to go and hook this show up. By the way, Carter used to be a comedian, so this and I think a little bit of that is still hanging on. So we can.
Yeah, is this thing on?
Yeah.
I'll be here all week. Try the veal.
This show could get derailed real fast.
Cosmic Kojak.
Yeah, sorry, Carter. I didn't consult you on that, but that's your moniker.
You gave me ample warning.
Yeah, but you notice it's clever. I got the K instead of for the cosmic.
Yeah. Gotta love you, baby.
Buschardt.
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 You sound like you play for the Montreal Canadiens, Mr. Buschardt. He passed the puck.
I
How
thought
y'all
it was
are?
like Cajun.
Hey, Carter Buschardt, eh?
Sound like
Can you do that one?
cute.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I'm typing the name in, too.
show. Moldy clay, to hold my gifted marble. What the hell is that about?
Okay. How come when I stop talking, everybody just goes quiet?
We're trying to think of something witty.
The only time you can hear that is when you're not talking.
Yeah, and the other thing is when I do want to talk and I'm trying to interject something, I can't get in there. But as soon as I stop talking or I'm doing something else,
That's because you're not talking and you can hear.
I have to rush back and
Willie makes his coffee, then he has to stop the whole show and make an announcement he's gonna go make coffee. He doesn't just sneak away. It's like, hold on, everybody. I'm gonna go get coffee.
yeah, but you're really good at sneaking away. It looks natural with you. With me, it looks like I'm like copping out of the show or something. You know, there's guilt.
Just do this. Just cut off your video, and that's it. It's not that complicated.
What am I looking at? Where did our Cosmic Kojak friend go?
I don't know. We were live on Facebook. So hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
We are here.
My name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here hosting the Pork and Bean Show with the world's handsomest man, Frank.
Oliver Beans himself.
Can you show us both profiles there, Mr. Beans? Which one do you like, Arla?
I want a 360. Yes! Yes!
No.
That's it.
No, we want it without we want it without
360 degrees of love.
just the head, Beans, just the head, not the body.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, hey everybody, if you haven't had a heaping helping of pork and beans and you want more, please like, subscribe, love, come and join our show on Facebook, the Pork and Bean Show. And also I have a YouTube channel, Sasquatch BC, the true story, / the Pork and Bean Show, with every video, over 200 videos from the show, edited, and a bunch of other good stuff. So today's guest is Carter Buschardt, but I don't know where he is. Oh, there he is. Now I have to change his name again.
Oh, there he goes. Well, welcome back, Carter.
I didn't do anything. It just stopped. It wanted me to log in.
Hey, Carter, yeah.
That's okay. We haven't really officially introduced you, but you're the world's most famous Carter Buschardt.
Yeah, thank God.
And you've written 4 books on Sasquatch, and you've had a whole lifetime of experiences, and everybody should be riveted to their seats to hear.
You should strap yourself in, actually.
Strap yourself in with not strap on, strap yourself in.
Well, I've got my strap on. Oh. Well, that can be taken several ways. Present company apologize.
Well, we were trying to do that to you, but now that you've got the upper hand,
it's hard for me to be embarrassed.
Yeah. Let me just rename you here, because I mean, we've given Carter, you've been on the show long enough, and you're the only guy that doesn't actually have a food name. So you're kind of in a category by yourself.
Yeah, pork, tater, Frank, cobbler. Well, I should be hors d'oeuvre. Hors d'oeuvre. Because it is a French name, so that kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
Pâté hors d'oeuvre. Côte de foie gras.
Yeah, it's like
I think they call that hors d'oeuvres here in Oklahoma.
I call it horse doovers up in my part of the country.
Hors
Hors
d'oeuvres.
d'oeuvres? Yeah.
Some reason, a can of sardines and a cracker comes to my mind.
What'd you call me?
Georgia. That's Georgia, isn't
Did you call me a cracker?
it?
Well, he is down from the south, so
Hors d'oeuvres is sardines and a cracker. That's an hors d'oeuvre.
I eat with my pinky up.
Okay.
Are we about to be unleashed on the world?
Oh no, we were here.
Oh,
We're
no.
recording. We're live on Facebook, and we're just goofing around, waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to say something.
Oh,
Okay. Well, anyway, I already did the introduction, didn't I? So how you doing today, Carter?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you tell I have COVID?
No.
There you go.
No,
I fooled the public again.
although you will have in September. They say in September everybody's going to get COVID, and they're going to lock down the world again, and you know,
Yeah.
and it's going to be mandatory butt shots.
And masking. Isn't that funny? They can predict. It's like on a schedule now. So all the drug companies and the mask makers are all licking their chops, waiting for our debit cards to be slid across sliders.
Yeah, that's all fear mongering. They're
Yeah.
trying to get us in that rebellious, fearful mode so that we are very easily manipulated
Yeah.
during,
That's right.
going
ab-
into that. So I just don't buy into their fear. Whatever happens is what is going to happen. I'm going to handle it in the best way I can. I've already had COVID this year. I don't want it again.
That's right.
So,
I've
uh,
had the disease, I've had the shots, I've had the boosters. If it gets me now, it deserves me.
it
Yeah.
don't want
There
you,
you go.
Tom. It does not want you.
I never had it. This
Well,
is the first time.
Did they make
Well-
it mandatory for you to stay in that home? You had to have the shots. Was that mandatory?
We can't say the too many of the
I'm just saying.
key
I'm just
word.
saying. It's like, that's one of the places where, like, you couldn't stay in a home unless you got the shots.
unless you got the medicine.
No, we didn't have that at all.
Yeah.
Nope. So, anyhow,
But
it's nice to meet you, Carter.
You too,
But
Mia, Ma.
Mhm.
but I just wanted to say that I do totally agree with Arla though. Like, the Sasquatch lessons, at least for me, and I'm sure Arla and I are very, very similar. We're very, very similar in our lessons, aren't we, Arla? Actually, it's very similar vein. And I think that when you're in a good place and when you're in that place of no fear that the Sasquatch teach, and it's a vibration thing, then like Arla said, then you don't put your energy into that fear and you don't buy into it, and you kind of like there's an awareness, but it doesn't take you down that rabbit hole of fear, which is which is how we're all controlled, is by fear. Happened that way for forever, like fear, division, judgment, all that kind of neato stuff that keeps us dumbed down. But anyway, Mr. Carter, what have you been up to lately, my friend?
Well, working on the fourth book with all my habituation folks. The habituation families have just gotten incredibly interesting, and a couple of them have started receiving messages and having visitations, quantum paranormal type, entering into their homes as an orb and manifesting into a Sasquatch and showing their children and then leaving. So I've got a really interesting one going on up in Washington State. It's just fabulous. It's got everything you want, and I get monthly updates as to what's going on. I've got 2 new clients that are hearing conversations between Sasquatch on their property, both in the continental United States. And those are all kind of new. I mean, you used to not get those. Now you're getting them.
Well,
And
you're saying that the Sasquatch are out in their backyard talking it up enough, loud enough for the people to hear the conversation.
yeah,
How amazing!
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I've got
that's
two
what
properties where when the women are home alone, men go off to work for the day. They will hear, the women will be out in the yard, working in the yard, doing it. They will hear their name called in their husband's exact vocals, his
Yeah.
exact, it's him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To the point where they've called and said, are you jacking with me? Aren't you supposed to be at work? Are you out here? What are you doing? And both of them are identical. They said, well, no, I'm at work. I'm supposed to be. What's wrong with you? You drinking wine again? And
Mr. Carter,
yeah.
it's the last show we had. Thom just related a story about that, about a healing incident, a beautiful healing story he was involved in that was like, just miraculous. But everybody in the camp heard Thom and my wife talking and walking around while they were actually in their tents, in their voices, and every single person except for 2 of the 8 came up the next morning and said, why were you walking around talking? And it was their voices. I've heard the same thing. I've went to meet friends. Went to meet friends, and I said hello to them and where I was going to meet them. I'll be there in a second.
Yeah.
Went up there. They weren't there. They weren't there for another hour and a half.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to say that this kind of stuff, and this is the importance of this show, right? Is these kind of things sound like, wow, that's like a little far out there. But then when like 3 of the 4 people, and I'm sure Arla's had the same thing too, and maybe Mr. Beans, when we've all experienced it, suddenly it doesn't seem so strange and far out, does it? It seems like something there, right?
And an
Yeah.
interesting aspect of that is that while 6 of the people in camp heard us, Sue and I did not. We did not hear them speaking. Of course, if we'd have heard it, we'd have investigated if we heard our own voices. But no, there's 6 people heard it, 2 did not, and Sue and I did not.
So sorry for derailing you, Carter.
No,
Continue
that's
with that
okay.
story. But I thought it was important to point that out.
Yeah, no, it's becoming prevalent,
Mhm.
and
It has been for several years. A lot of people just didn't talk about it, or they didn't have somebody talk about it. I know in 2010, I was talking with a guy that was involved with a habituation area. He was going out there every day, and he was healed. He was at a camp out we were at, and his wife had this horrible rash that she would get from time to time. Well, that night they were all around their tent. She woke up the next morning and she had no rash, none. It was gone. And when she would get it, it would be a long-term medication thing, but it didn't. So it's wonderful that people now are coming out more and telling these stories for other people to hear, like what you're doing. You're telling this, people are going to read this, and people that maybe have had that happen to them or know somebody, then that gives them the ability to begin to talk about this and not, keep it to yourself, which is what we've all got to do. We've
yeah,
all got to be willing to bring these things to people so that other people then see them. I mean, that's what we're all about. We're sharing information.
yeah. Well, that's why I put the books out, because they're the more odd, bizarre things, but and that's not even quantum or paranormal. They have a language. That's not even something that should not be discussed. It's like
Right.
dogs bark, birds chirp. We have a language. Most of God's creatures have language. So that's not even, and when I was doing reports for BFRO, they took that stuff out.
Yeah.
That's not even like shape shifting. That's not even changing your vibrational frequency. That's just, they have a language. What's the big deal? Horses have a language. You know, it's just stupid to have pigeonhole that in the paranormal quantum side, because there are certain aspects that are nothing near that. They're just everyday behaviors. I think people, they're welcoming these beings on their property, and the beings are comfortable with them, and they've read these people. I guarantee you, they watch them, they read them, and they know they mean no harm, and they would be supportive if there's a further interaction, and it's slowly happening. I've got properties anywhere from 6 months to a year to 23 years of ongoing, constant communication. It's just mind-blowing, you know. And these people, like you said, they wouldn't have come forward 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. These people just clam up, period. But, you know, even a Sasquatch, period, seeing one crossroad, you know, Uncle Bob says he saw a Sasquatch. Let's have him over for Christmas dinner and make fun of him. You know, well, Bob shuts up. Oh, Uncle Bob shuts up and says nothing for the rest of his life, takes it to his grave. You know, so now people are coming forward because the stigma is slowly being removed. Not quick enough, but it's slowly dissipating. You know,
It's a big difference. Big difference.
They got
Carter.
stigmata. They got a stigmata on them.
yeah.
One of the impeti for that movement was that stupid little TV show, Finding Bigfoot. I mean, the show was, you know, what it was, but it made people understand it was okay to talk about it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And that's what started this movement. Prior to that, if I wish I had $1 for every conversation I've had that began with, I've never told anybody this, but, you know,
Carter.
Yeah.
Now I want to do a skit with you. You know, you'll be Uncle Bob, and then I'll make fun of you when you tell me, like, so what did you do today, Uncle Bob?
Well, I was out plowing the North Purdy, and my Sasquatch, Philly Frank, came up and started talking to me.
What did you say, Sasquatch? Are you smoking that wacky tobacco, Bob?
No, I take the gummies there.
Well, no wonder you lost your hair. Your brains went out the top of your head, boy.
Absolutely. You damn tallywhacker. Yeah, but it is.
But anyway, I don't approve of that. But if you got any of that, pass them on to me, because I want to see some stuff.
Yeah, well, you'll see some stuff. Mine kicks in here in about 20 minutes, so I'll be
we should have our own little podcast and just do absolutely nothing, but you know, like Seinfeld kind of thing.
I have a feeling your chain would get jerked.
Right.
What were we talking? What are we doing here? Okay, what are we talking about now? So
we're trying to interrupt Carter as much as we can.
I'd actually like to hear one of Carter's. Let's tell us some of the. You were actually starting on one of the good stories there until I made a very astute point that threw everything like right into chaos.
Well, here's it's a classic habituation scenario. And so I mentioned the woman. She's heard her name called several times by her husband when he's should be at work, and she goes out, falls for it every time. Like, well, where is he? Thought you went to work. So, but on the habituation, now they have a 50-year-old autistic son who lives with them. They're both in their 70s, and they have fruits, vegetables stolen, their trees stripped of fruits, their garden ransacked. And she went out, and the woman who's the main contact with this clan up there went out and ripped their butts. You can take something, but leave something for us. You're taking all our food, and my son works these gardens and works these trees. This is his pride and joy. This is something he does. And she ripped their butts. The next day, there was a headless rabbit, had the head popped off, and it had been washed, and it was floating in this little fountain, like those little fountains, like koi pond things you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot, you know, the little curvy things, and they're just, you know, got a little waterfall in it, and it's got, you know, you can put fish in there. Well, that was an apology for taking the food. It was left and it was washed. And that's a clear sign of them understanding our thoughts and our feelings,
Yep.
you know, and not to mention the language, even though they don't speak it, they absolutely understand it, and they can mimic any kind of thing anywhere. The next day after that, there was a perch, about a 6-inch perch, that was found in that fountain.
Mm.
There's no way that perch got into that fountain, other than it was left there by the Sasquatch. And her husband, who at the time was a non-believer, said, well, one of the herons over here probably had it in its beak and dropped it. And she goes, okay, so it fell 100 feet through dense pine conifers and landed in that fountain without hitting a branch on the way at all. And it was alive. And he goes, well, now that you put it that way, it doesn't sound that good. So they were gifted twice as an apology for the event of stealing all their food. And since then, they have a truce. They can take so much, and then they don't take any more.
Yeah,
Every
beautiful, beautiful. You know, that is, and that, once again, that's not uncommon.
No,
That's
I've
very,
had
very,
a-
very common, very common.
Yeah, a lot of people just
I've
don't
had
notice
a-
it.
I'm sorry. I've had a 50-50 rule with them for years and years and years.
Yeah,
Yeah, my guys have always had, sorry, Arla, hold that thought. My guys have always had that rule. You get now.
Yep.
I've never told Arla off in my life. Oh boy,
But
she's gonna be here.
it's a fascinating.
She's gonna be here in 3 weeks, and it's gonna be bad. But anyway, I just wanted to say, my guys had the 50-50 rule right away. But for people who are having that kind of problem,
Yeah.
all you really, you know, one thing I suggest to anybody who's having that kind of problem is just simply say what that lady said, and not even as forcefully as, hey, how about we share?
Yeah,
You know, just you know, approach them and say, hey, just exactly what they said.
yeah.
And you know, that works often. That works often. So what were you going to say, Arla? Sorry about that.
I was just gonna say they will, if what you're saying is truly coming from inside you, and I am sure it was coming from inside her because of her son doing that and it being so important, and they honor what you say
Yeah,
with a good intent. Now,
yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't say it the way she said it, but I'm not her. And I wouldn't I've known about them, you know, since I was little. But knowing how she felt, yeah, she just this is how it is, guys, you know?
mhm,
He does this and so she did it in a way, and I don't think she was feeling hateful towards them. I
no,
think she was thinking about her son
yeah.
and the love that she has for her son and the love that he has in doing what it is he was
You know,
doing.
gardening. He gardens,
Yeah,
and he you know, he pulls weeds, like gets down and, you know, little things, you know. But I mean, that's his pride and joy, and he's like
yeah,
beaming with joy when he goes, look, the garden's all done, you know. And he's 50 years old, and he's never going anywhere other than there. He's lived there at home his entire life, and always will. And so, she was being protective, but she was, you know,
yeah.
she was new to this, so she was truly pissed off, and just, you know, she erupted like if it was a neighbor coming over and stealing fruit. You know, damn it, Fred, get the hell out of here, you know. Well,
Yeah.
that was her emotion, and it got the point across. And she knows now that she has placid interactions and
Yeah.
mental communications, and it's all different now. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
once
it's
you get a
all about learning.
once you get a relationship with them like that too, you'll find that they're far more honorable than people, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and trustworthy and whatever, you know, for
Like that
pretty
takes a
much across
lot.
the board. What?
Like that takes a lot.
Well, no, but yeah, of course, yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet
all
you
the
she,
thing-
I bet you she has no bears and no mountain lions and no,
No,
I bet she has
no.
none of that stuff on her property. And, doesn't-
Bears every now and then, no mountain lions. They haven't seen them anyway. They're rumored, but you know, it's Washington State. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
they got-
because you pretty, you know, if you're neighbors with the Sasquatch, they're gonna look out for you for stuff like that.
yeah.
But you know, the point is, one of the points I was making is these stories you're sharing with us, Carter, are fantastic, absolutely mind-boggling, fantastic. But the bottom line is that, and this doesn't diminish them at all. It's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like magic is unfolding all over the place. You know, with everybody here, with these people that you're writing about. It's what do you think's going on? I mean, I have my thoughts. We all have our own thoughts. What do you think's going on?
Well, I think they're ingratiating themselves with each other, and they're showing us in a variety of ways how to treat each other, how to treat the planet, how to treat the earth, and how to interact. And, you know, the world sucks right now. We all know the world's just chaos. We're on the brink of something every day, it seems like. So I think they're trying to spread the word. And so when I write a book or these people tell their stories, 50, 60, 100 other people who are having the same experiences but have never said anything are going,
Yep.
wow, did you see the Pork and Bean show? Did you see Dave Scott's show? Did you see whatever? They're talking about, you know, I'm going to call them because remember Uncle Joe used to have that and he never said anything. Or, you know, my husband has said this and he just went quiet. So people are starting to come out because it's okay. And there is no, well, there still is a stigma because there's a lot of ignorance, but you know, and that comes from the ape only crowd, the ape only or the a little of everything crowd, like I'm in, you know. And so, but if you're ignorant and you're ape only, that can't happen. That doesn't exist. They don't talk. They don't communicate. They can't change their vibrational frequency. They can't do telepathy. Can't do infrasound. None of that stuff. Well, you're stuck, you know, and your closed mind is going to freeze other people up. So we've got an open mind. Some of the theories may not be correct, but at least you're extrapolating that some of this stuff may be happening. And if we're wrong, okay, we'll move on to the next thing. But we're trying to get answers. That's all we're doing. It's not I'm right, you're wrong, nana nana boo boo. You know, it's not about that. You know, well, it is for some of the guys. You know, you like that?
Yeah.
There's
But,
a
you know-
lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. There's still trolls. You know, like
Oh yeah.
you just figure that they took a beating their whole life being bullied by their cousins and mothers and
Parents.
fathers, and that's the only way they know. Whenever something comes up that you can ridicule somebody about, they do. And think
Yeah.
nothing of it because to them that's the way life is. You're supposed to ridicule each other.
Yeah, we're fair game, you know, and that's okay. You know, I was a rock drummer. I've been booed off stage all over the place. I don't care. You can't
Well-
hurt my feelings.
Well, when you open for the Who, people want you off the stage pretty fast, generally.
Yeah, they wanted to see the fist fights. You know, I got to watch
I
a
mean-
fist fight between Keith and Roger after the show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How did that
They
go
were-
over? We got to hear that.
They routinely had fisticuffs.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah. How did that go down? I got to hear this. Sorry, I got to hear this.
It was broken up by the crew, but they started swinging. I think one of them connected. I don't remember who, but then they were entangled and you know, wrestling. And they'd just gotten off stage. I mean, literally just gotten off. So they were tired as hell. Sorry about that. And so they got broken up, but they were wrestling each other on the ground and just, you know, swinging. And it was just, God dang it. Sorry about that.
We're talking
And
about
like-
Roger Daltrey and Keith Moon, right?
Yeah. They had this love-hate relationship, you know, And Pete was in there too, but just that was not his turn that night. But 5 minutes later, they're sitting there swigging beer, talking like it never happened.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things to let off some steam, and that's how you know they're friends, because they're making music and having a great time at it. And they're all Southside London boys, and they're street guys, except for Entwistle, and so they had some volatility within them, but that's what made the music so good.
Man, I guess we got to get off this subject. I got to say a couple more things. I know people don't like the music reviews on here, but anyway, but that Entwistle, what a amazing freaking bass player that guy was. And also one of my favorite bands, they didn't get along either. Ray and Dave Davies. Oh boy, they had some.
Oh, the Kinks, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they did not like each other either.
Well, brothers, you grow up hating each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom always liked you better.
Yeah.
Mom always dressed you funny, not me.
Anyway,
Why
yeah.
you, Iota,
Anyway, quite the. That's something that you can remember all your life, though. I opened for the Who. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was good. We were a pretty good band. We opened for several big acts before they were big acts, and it's hard to even get anybody to believe those stories, but it doesn't really matter, But we opened for the Cars and Journey. Bruce Springsteen actually opened for us.
Bruce Springsteen opened for you?
Well, they got a record deal, and nobody had heard of them ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Dallas, Texas, Gertie's nightclub. We were there for the week, and the manager comes up and says, "Hey, do you mind if this band sits in on your equipment and plays a set? They just got a record deal. They're touring, and nobody knows them, and they need some exposure. So sure, go ahead." So they got up there, Clarence Clemens, the first black sax player. I mean, they were just, nobody had ever seen anything like it. And they tore the place up. We were kind of like, do we have to go on now? Because they were together. I mean, we were kind of like just a heavy blues, rock, grungy stuff, but good stuff. But yeah, so little stories like that. New York Dolls,
Yeah, I know all of them.
Yeah. So it's just, but back in the day, in the 70s, that was just common. That's how you networked, was you just go sit in on somebody's equipment, and 5, 6, 7 guys sitting in one hotel room waiting to go play somewhere, and they ship off to a nightclub, come back, and fly them out and go somewhere else the next day. So they don't do that anymore,
No.
That was before the internet.
Yes, it was 72, 3, 4. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, is when radio was at its peak. That's when everybody and his brother, for like in the 1940s and 30s, people would go around to pay honky tonks and play in bars and stuff. And there's a lot, but there was a lot of them out there doing it. And that's how, when the music industry kicked off, then a lot of those people just rose up to the top.
Yeah.
Because there was this giant pool of talent. I'm not sure it's the same way anymore. I'm sure
it's not. It's all electronic, and you're instantly famous with social media. You can put one photo of your band out there, and 3 million people see it. So you're all over the place. Back then it was still payola, where there was a lot of bribes and big DJs and stuff. The payola scandals and stuff was really big back in the late 50s, early 60s. I think they had that cleaned up by then,
But I remember that there was always, there's 2 or 3 radio stations in town, and at least 2 of them would be playing new music. Like, here's somebody from somebody, and about 50% of them was just bombs. You never hear that guy again. But that's how all the bands started up. Everybody could all across the nation. They start hearing different bands.
pay for plays, they used to call it. Well, you slip the DJ an extra $50 or something, and they give you an extra spin. And that got to be the way they did business for a while, till they had to clean it up, but it got really nasty back there for a while,
Yeah.
So how about those Sasquatch?
Well, again back in the 60s and 70s, when it was radio, there wasn't people talking about Sasquatch. 'Cause
No.
it was only in the 80s, 90s, and up to now that Sasquatch really took a hold on people's mind.
Mhm. They're almost
What do you-
accepted universally, almost.
Well,
Now,
I don't know. I still talk to people on this. I can usually tell there's going to be open to it anyway, just by their energy or whatever. But if you talk to the majority of people, they just look at you like you're crazy still, I think. But I don't know.
As late as
I think they're
yesterday,
more. I think they're more accepted than they were. That's for sure. But
they
Yeah.
are, but as late as yesterday, I had somebody say, "Oh, you mean there's more than one?"
oh yeah, I can never get over that. I saw the Sasquatch
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
day. Like he's the only guy who's going all over the world.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that this weekend. I did a conference, and this woman who I thought would probably be more hip than that said, I just thought there was a few.
Mhm.
No, there's a few 100,000 perhaps, but not
Yeah.
a few. And she claimed, I mean, she was ignorant. She had no idea. She was peripherally interested. And then she came to my booth and we were talking and she's looking at the books and she's going, is this real stuff? I mean, is that a real picture? And no, yeah, that's a real footprint. I had the Freeman, the full-size Paul Freeman footprint in my booth. Who made that? Well, a Sasquatch. Oh my God, it's so big. So that the ignorance is still out there. It's just because if they talk to you, they might end up getting some education and believing some of it. But if it's just peripheral, well, I've heard about it. Saw Sasquatch on the $6 Million Man, and in search of the Leonard Nimoy. Other than that, they have no relationship with it. So it is we're still baptizing people every day.
Yeah. When do you guys see? It seems like people are more getting more open to, and some people hate the word woo or whatever, but of the paranormal aspects of the Sasquatch, which to them are normal, because like Thom said and whatever, and I've experienced their abilities we have too. But when do you think latent, mind you, but when do you think things are starting to turn around as far as people are starting to, I'm noticing people are more open to the idea of the paranormal, going invisible, mind speaking or whatever. And I would say maybe within the last 3 or 4 years, it's really started to open up. What do you guys think?
it goes back
2012, it wasn't. Sorry, Bean. Go ahead.
It goes back further than that. Think of Ghostbusters. Remember the Ghostbusters movie? And
Mhm.
that kicked off a whole bunch of subroutine movies and series of people who were, ghost investigators. And then there was teams all over the United States would get a few people, get their little equipment together and they'd go checking out haunted houses. And that was like a whole paranormal investigation. And it was the same kind of deal as finding Bigfoot. Most of the time nothing ever happened, but still the whole idea of the paranormal and spirit world was there, and it's still going on. There's probably as many, if not more, paranormal Ghostbuster kind of groups and shows than there are Sasquatch shows.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I'm supposed to be filming one of my habituation families here in Missouri, and it's a ghost hunting crew that has been losing paying customers to their YouTube channel. So they're starting to branch out, taping Sasquatch habituations or Sasquatch videos, because it's not the first time I've heard it, but the ghost hunting is such an accepted norm, if you want to call it, that they're not finding, and it's too bad it's all driven by money, but they're looking for customers in other areas. So they're starting to branch out into Sasquatch. They have good filming skills, but they know nothing about Sasquatch. So
Yeah, but you know what? I would think that because of their ghost hunting guys and they're used to dealing with the paranormal and stuff, that they would be more open to what they find, as far as the Sasquatch, if they do some of that activity. Wouldn't you think? Just because
they're very open to it, but they're kind of shocked when I say, well, they can talk, they have a language. Really? I mean, they're clueless, many of them, and you have to show them or educate them. Say, take this book, read it, and tell me what you think. And they're learning things, but the shape shifting, the changing your vibrational frequency, the telepathy, the all of that is, well, that's the stuff of ghosts. Sasquatch do that? Well, in essence, yeah. I mean, you get the drift, but yeah, they're shocked.
Yeah. Hey, we got a couple questions here. Graham McSkimming, and this is going off of what we were talking about earlier. He says the Sasquatch took vegetables from our garden. So when my ex was seen digging the garden by hand, they left a stone digging tool, of which I have photos. And Graham is also an author.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of the name of his Sasquatch. Was that the name of the book, Mr. Beans?
Sasquatch, yeah.
Sasquatch by Graham McSkimming. He's actually coming to my camp out in a few weeks, him and his wife. And then there's somebody I don't know, a new person, Sandra Haligso. Yeah, and she says, what does the X sticks mean? Well, there I go into my passion again. And in my opinion, it doesn't have any across the board meaning. If you've got a relationship with them and you're communicating with them according to the glyphs, the meaning is going to be according to what you and them decide. And that's the way it works with me, and they've proven it over and over.
Yeah, if you think you use the same symbol over and over, even though you may not understand the actual meaning, the fact that you acknowledge it encourages it to be used over and over. And you can take that meaning as a greeting, as a goodbye, as a, hey, stay away, or hey, thank you for the beads. Thanks for the gifts.
Well,
take on its own meaning.
It's telepathic too, because I have literally, and I've proven it over and over again to me. I've literally come up with a meaning for a glyph and said, okay, this is what it means. And then found out, according to what they were communicating with me, like years and years before the fact, they already knew what the meaning was. And there's absolutely no question about it. So, then you get into the weird stuff about, linear time and how it doesn't exist for them. And yeah.
Tell Sandra hello.
It's a pretty deep rabbit hole. Hello, Sandra. Who is Sandra? Do you know her?
Yes, I do.
Is she one of your
possibly
secrets?
No,
not really a secret. Anyway.
She's asking, what does the X mean? The X sticks? Did you guys talk about that?
Yeah, it means what it means to her.
Yep. They started leaving glyphs within the last year or so.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it means friendship welcome.
Yeah.
And, but,
thank you.
But, that, like I said, you have to decide what it means. Some people think
it can also means the sucker lives here. So take all their vegetables.
Well, a lot of people, if it's upright, that means it's a warning. Stay out. People see the upright X's upright, not on the ground, but upright in the woods, is a sign of we better not go here. This is an area they don't want us to trespass on. People take it differently if it's laying up or if it's laying on the ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're right, but I still take it as a a territorial marker, but a friendship welcome thing. But
Yep.
if you're the mindset where you're not friends with the Sasquatch and you know, and you don't you don't respect him or whatever, then I could see how you might think that, and for you it could mean that.
Mhm.
You know, because it can mean different things to the individual. So as
Yeah.
hard as that is to believe.
I go back to what Kashima said. Don't put your thoughts as a human onto how we should be. So when we look at an X, we've always been told X means stay out, X marks the spot. So we've got all of these human thoughts, which are how we do every day. But, and what he meant was, don't look at something and put your human thoughts on that. Open your mind, open your heart,
Yeah.
and there may be something else there. I have never, ever in all of my life, which spans several decades, seen an upright X as keep out. Now, I'm not going to tell anybody that that's not what it means for them, but I myself have never seen that. I have seen it to mean a lot of things, you know, and they use it readily for many different things, you know, for different people.
Mhm.
So that's the one thing that I always tried to keep in my mind. Don't put Arla's thoughts of her life and her humanness on anything that they do.
Yeah.
And that pretty much goes for anything, period, in the world, paranormal, which paranormal doesn't exist for me. It's the norm for me and
Yeah.
always has been since I was born. So, you know, it's just a word that we describe. I guess what normal is for a lot of people. I don't know that that's ever been a part of probably all of our lives, very prevalent in our lives anyway,
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, what do you think, Arla? I've had you know, as far as the glyphs go, I think you agree with me. Like, I mean, you know what my journey is with the glyphs and what,
I do.
and you know, I mean, you know what I'm all about as far as that. And it is, I don't think I think it's a unique relationship, but I also think other people could have it.
Yes, yeah, it's when you get to the point to where you quit looking at that glyph and going, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah.
And just open up and let that, because it's an energetic signature in many different ways. It has its own vibrations. And
Yeah.
as we're growing and opening up to all of this vibrational energy, it would be like telepathy. You
Mhm.
look at that and immediately you know what that means. You don't have to take it apart and go, okay, this is this and this is that. But in the beginning, it's communication. It's communication of writing
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a form that we're probably not used to, but we see similarities in that writing. And so we begin to get understandings of what they're saying. Yes, I do believe there are some universal symbols, but for the most part, it is so personal.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
person, and especially in a situation like Carter's dealing with those people. That's very personal for them. They're on a journey,
Yeah.
and
They've
they're
got to come
part
up. Yeah. They've got to come up with their own meaning, I think. When I got that, I like what you said, Arla, because when I got my one walks with four glyph, the stones, you've seen that amazing one. As soon as I saw it, I instantly instant telepathy. I knew what the name came to me right away, and I instantly knew. But but I just wanted to make, and then we'll get on to more of what Carter was saying with that family. is that, but you agree with me that if you come up with a meaning between you and the Sasquatch, it can get so deep is that they will start communicating with you. If you're documenting your stuff, that, you know, even before you come up with a meaning, you will see that they already knew, right? That's how fantastic it is and how detailed it is.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling. Well, just, you know, all aspects of them are just almost beyond belief.
Here's
when you think
something I
about it.
want to throw in on the gifting from my family out west. I've had luck using mirrors. Go to the Dollar Tree and buy 5 or 6 mirrors and hang them on the tree, because I thought, well, maybe a Sasquatch would like to see its reflection in something other than a babbling brook or a puddle of water or what have you. And the Sasquatch on her property do not like the mirrors. They're hanging on the tree from strings or vines. She'll come back out and the mirror will be strapped to the tree with a mirror part against the bark, or they will be taken down and thrown on the ground face down. She puts them back up. They do the same thing. They have the mirror facing away, because and my thought was they would like to see the reflection. It might be a curiosity. These beings apparently don't like that, because I think they have a finite sense of self, and they don't need a reflection or a vision of themselves to know who they are and what they are. You know, I have another family that puts the mirrors up, and 5 of them were put up. 3 are still there, 2 are gone. And they were put up with picture hanging wire, so they pulled them, snapped the wire, and those mirrors are gone, never to be seen again. So there's different ways of communicating, and, you know, some of them don't like the mirrors, obviously. You know, it's just a telling thing. And no matter how she puts them back up or replaces them, puts them up way higher, they have a way of obfuscating, getting rid of the reflection, facing it away, putting it on the ground. A couple of times they've been put on the ground and they broke. So,
Carter,
Yes.
just as an interjection here, it isn't always their reflection that creates this. If you've ever hung a mirror and watched what sunlight does to it when there's a breeze, and
Yeah.
if you can imagine 2 or 3 of these in an area, the kaleidoscope effect you're getting off of those.
yeah,
Sometimes that's what they're objecting to.
but that's another great observation, because, you know, and that didn't come to my head, you know, but, you know, and like you say, the bright light squinting off of it can blind you, you know, just like driving straight into the sun, you know, and you're in the nice quiet forest that's your home, and all of a sudden these laser beam lights are coming at you.
Right. Your
So yeah,
spotlights
that's a
all
good
around.
point. Never thought of that.
Can that not start a fire?
No, it's not
Is a
enough energy.
mirror strong enough to, I know glass
Magnifying glass.
can do it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I know a
magnifying glass
can. I didn't know if a
focuses.
mirror would get it.
No.
It
So what's-
might, but you'd have to really know what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
It would just take a regular mirror, and, you know, I don't think the optics are thick enough.
No, mirror
fire.
just reflects the light. It doesn't intensify it.
Yeah.
So Carter, I guess you're talking about a few different habituations, and I'm not sure what the main one you were talking about, but
Well, the main one
what-
I was talking about is the one with the mirrors as well.
okay. Why don't you tell us, where are these people right now in their understanding? Give us kind of like what's happened to date, what they've learned, where they're headed, what, you know, kind of thing.
Well, my lady has gotten past the point of considering herself the crazy Bigfoot lady, you know, because she was having these events, sightings, intuitions, and her husband was not supportive. He's a reluctant believer now, but at first he was having none of this, so she had to keep it all to herself. And now what they do is they call Sasquatch George. for the benefit of their son. So whenever they want to talk about it, because sometimes he won't talk about it, so they've given him a friendly name. So anytime someone sees a Sasquatch in the family, well, I saw George today. It's a universal term for Sasquatch. And so, but she has an understanding with the gifting. It's very complex. Some of the stuff they buy these beautiful beads and necklaces, and they intertwine them around the bushes and everything. They'll come back and they're completely moved around, wrapped in each other and intertwined and put in different places, put on the ground, hung up there. And she goes back, and it's like a back and forth thing. And now recently in the last year or so, it could have been going on further, but glyphs have been appearing on the ground. And so the whole family believes. The husband will only believe to a certain point. When he saw one appear, he saw one just walking across the yard one night. He had knee surgery and he saw it. He goes, I'll be damned. And so he's convinced they exist. But when one enters into the home as a blue orb and manifests itself into a Sasquatch holding a baby, you know, she has the Sasquatch manifest into a possible physical form with the baby holding one of the gifts, the teddy bears that she put in the tree. They're everything but in your face. We see what you do. We enjoy, we love you. We're enjoying this interaction. And but the husband is still fighting the esoteric and quantum part of it. So me, if I'm going to see a Sasquatch walk across the yard, if I see it suddenly appear in my bedroom, either neither one happens or they both happen. They're one is not devoid of the other. So if that flesh and blood Sasquatch you saw walking across your yard at 3 a.m. because you were up refusing to take your pain pills, so he was just not sleeping, and he goes, well, crap, okay. So he's a believer, but just if it's in a physical form. He still hasn't wrapped his head around, as far as I know, the belief in the, you know, the abstract, esoteric, quantum type coming and going, morphing in and out of an orb, coming through the window, through the walls of your house, out to the gifting area. I mean, it's just, but they have this incredible conversation, relationship going. It's ongoing. And several of my people have that. The people that have been doing this for 23, 24 years, it's on family land that's been in the family for 3 or 4 generations. When they get ready, they have retired. When they get ready to move on because they can't handle the land, another family member is going to take it over, and they already know what's going on, and they continue the tradition. No hostilities. It's open. It's welcoming. You want to try new communication things, go after it. But they're always here. They're always going to be here. They were here when you got here, and they'll be here when you're gone. And so they understand that. That's the kind of stuff I want to get out to public, because that's real stuff. It's really happening, you know, and people just, like, everybody knows there's a phobia, there's a stigma. You don't talk about it because you're going to be the nut job. You know, you go to the mom and pop restaurant. Here's Jackie. He saw a Sasquatch. You know, and start throwing straws at you and chunks of meat, and, you know, just giving you a hard time. Friendly, not hateful, but, you know, that stuff's got to stop.
Can you give us all the details on that? So one of the Sasquatch people actually appeared in their room, you said, holding a baby?
Yeah.
Okay, can you give us all the details on that, like description, all that stuff? Because I've had that happen once too. So I'm kind of interested. How did they appear? You know, everything, because I just want to see.
There's been a couple of versions of it. One of the versions was when her husband snores. This is the lady out west. When the husband's snoring, she goes into a different bedroom. And in that bedroom, it's got a computer, and it overlooks a gifting area in the heavy woods. And a lot of times she's seen and heard things there. But recently, this has just been coming to light to me in the last 6 months or so, that they will see an apparition or a mist turn
Yes.
into the shape.
Yes.
It's kind of floating and it's
Yeah.
there. It's almost like Aladdin, where the genie kind of comes out of the bottle and it's kind of an amorphous form, and it takes form as it gets out. It kind of tapers off toward the bottom because it's still stuck in the bottle, you know, that kind of thing. It's just kind of floating there. Well, the
Yeah.
last time I talked to her 3-4 months ago, email, the one of her baby was holding one of the teddy bears, and the teddy bears are in plastic bags nailed up to the tree as gifts. Well, it was holding one of these teddy bears, not in the plastic bag. Yet when she went out there, the plastic bag was still in place with the bear in it. So I don't know if it's symbolism or if it actually took it out of the bag and put it back in the bag, just for the sake of this apparition. But they have come through the window, through the glass, and or through the wall into the house. I think her husband, when he saw his, it was at the foot of his bed, and he was laying in bed, and all of a sudden something told him to wake up, or maybe he was awake, and this Sasquatch arose up from the floor at the foot of the bed, and it was just there, and he's watching it, and then it goes back down. So it's either a bad sandwich or it's
bad
actually happening.
So they picked the wrong mushrooms.
Yeah, you know, damn meatball sandwich, I shouldn't have had that, you know, but it's that kind of stuff. And what do you do with that? I mean, she's open to it, and he is not, but he is, I think it's been kind of forced on him.
Yeah.
To look, buddy, we can do this, and we're not trying to scare you, we're not trying to harm you, we're just showing you that we can do this. So if they get you indoctrinated to the way they do things, maybe you're more understanding about the world around you and your fellow man and your neighbors, and how you treat the animals, and, you know, the environment, the whole thing. You know, there's a big giant message there, you know that, you know.
Yeah. So once again, you confirmed something for me. And once again, guys, another confirmation, because when RE came in my room, he appeared in a big misty puff of smoke or whatever. And sounds like that's very similar to what you just described, Carter.
Yeah. Unless we happen to know the same crazy people, but you're not a crazy person as far as I know, not legally. But you know what I mean?
Well,
But that stuff happens. It happens. I've got another family that has had the same thing. They've seen orbs, UFOs, things that have appeared right before or right after a Sasquatch event, or a Sasquatch appears right before or right after a UFO event.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So-
mists.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
orbs and lights, and, you know, people are, this is like real stuff, you know. Those of us here, we understand that, but people who are hearing this going, I don't know. I don't know about that. You know, I'll give you that, but I won't give you that, you know.
Okay. So what would you say, you know, you've seen a lot of different, obviously you've been in contact with a lot of different people with some profound connections with Sasquatch, and they always seem to be and I'm not putting stages like ahead or behind, just but different stages of kind of the relationship, which is not judgment, it's just different stages. Now, how would you say that this you know, like with me, for instance, it's like a teacher student thing, and you know, about universal truth and stuff like that, and just changing consciousness or whatever. So what do you think and that's the crux of what they're about with me. Everybody's a little different and unique to them. So this guy, he's just kind of accepting them, but not you know, going too far into the woo. And the lady is kind of like embracing it. But what are they doing? How are they working with her? What kind of angle do you think are they taking? How are they opening her up? How are they working with her from your observations?
It's
Because
really
you've seen a lot of it, right?
Yeah, it's really been the gifting has opened up this entire line of conversation and communication. I wouldn't say conversation, but communication, where they're almost like showing each other up, by wrapping these necklaces in beads in such ornate ways. Oh yeah, I see you and I'll raise you one. And they come back and do something more elaborate. I mean, it's that way. And I think in the last 6 months to a year, the glyphs have been appearing on the ground. And it may have been there longer. She may have not noticed it,
Yeah.
because if it's on a trail, you're walking along, it looks like twigs in the trail, you walk on it, you don't think anything of it. My guy in Canada had the same issues. He was seeing clues and thought that was just somebody messing with him. It never occurred to him that it was Sasquatch that he was dealing with.
I talked to that guy, and I was kind of sad because he's having so many profound experiences, but he seems like he's looking at them from the fear angle, and that's there's a lot of opportunity missed there. I think that's just my opinion.
He's slowly coming out of it. But it's a struggle. Did you ever see Sibylla Irwin? She does that sketching encounters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, she did 2 shows with him back to back, and he is as reclusive as they come. He finally, due to a bad signal, he had to get in his truck and go to a certain area in town so they could do the show. And he was on there crying because it's such an emotional thing for him. And if you ever want to find out if somebody's been sincere, you just can't cry on cue. This stuff hits you emotionally, and he was too busy being young and full of himself. He wasn't paying attention to it. And they were trying to. Him and his father went through this for about 30 some odd years. Interactions. It's in my second book, and the artwork she did was the forestry work and the stuff that they had interrupted with these creatures. But anyway, back to that. It was such an emotional thing for him that he was like bawling, and he's on the air, and he gave his name, which I used as a pseudonym because I wanted to protect him. He didn't want his name out. Now he's come out and he's like, I don't care who knows, because this has happened. And it was like a religious transformation almost, when he went from denial, abject denial, to like wholly embracing the whole thing. And how could I have been so blind and not seen that kind of thing.
So when did that happen? Just recently, obviously.
In the last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's good.
Go look up Sketching Encounters and look up the guy from Canada, 2 shows back to back. And
yeah, I know, because I talked to him for about an hour on the phone, and he wasn't embracing the positivity I was trying to.
No. And he's reluctantly joining the club, just like my lady out west, her husband, who I'll believe this, but I won't believe that. Well, that's further than he was a year ago. And it may take another vision or 2 for him to go, okay, I surrender. Time out.
The more open you are to it, the more they're going to show you.
I got a question about that apparition. It's called an apparition, right? Where from nothing something comes, from either a cloud or just right. Well, there's one world where that doesn't happen. It's called the rational material world, and there's another world where that does happen. And do you think you could talk about what would the world have to be like in order to have spirits be able to manifest in your bedroom?
I think it's your individual world, your individual belief system. Because these creatures come and go at various levels and at various stages, depending on your belief system, your heart, your soul, what you hold inside of you as a belief, and so they communicate with you as much or as little as they can and leave it be. And then it's up to you to show your warmth and your love and your believing and be open to more communication. I think it's a trial and error with every family, every person that has an interaction of a quantum supernatural abstract type, because like her husband, I'll believe this, but I won't believe that. Well, which is it? You can't have it both ways. Just like the ape only crowd. You know, how do you convince somebody other than showing them? If they won't believe that, they've got a spiritual blockage, perhaps, you know. And so
Those people, the first thing they need to do is get some time in observation. They need to get themselves to the point where they can do the Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall type of observations. And that will solve a lot of the ape only. That goes away really quickly in that situation.
and so, you know, with my family out west, I'm thinking that either his belief that they exist now because they saw one is just to keep the peace in the family. Okay, I saw it, I believe it. Okay, we're good. And that's the end of it. Or does he need some more prodding? Because, you know, that's not a, they've shown him both sides of themselves and he's only melding with one. So that's a reluctance on your part to open up to that. You know, it's one thing for me to tell you this, that they come and they go, they appear, they don't appear. But when you see it, you experiencing it yourself, how do you talk yourself out of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know, how do you go?
Seeing is believing, right? Yeah.
Huh?
Seeing is,
But people do
seeing
it.
is believing.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
talk yourself out of it, but
Yes, you can.
Oh, yes. Arla and
but if
I
it keeps
witnessed
coming
that one
at
day.
you, maybe you can't. If it keeps coming at you, eventually you
Mhm.
can't.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Hey,
hopefully you know, you get to that point to where you go, okay, this is not stopping, but you yourself can stop it.
Mhm.
I've seen that happen and do a flip and go back the other way. I've seen that with people who had physical healings that they believed it. They were connecting with that, seeing so much more. And then they got to a point to where, no, this isn't right. This doesn't happen. It can't happen. And they totally turn and walk away from it and we'll not discuss it. We'll even lie that those things happen to them. And they do that for many reasons, in my experience of working with people through the years. Hopefully, with him being there in that situation, that's where he lives, that's where his wife and his child are, that he will be there. And the one thing I know about the Sasquatch is they won't push you unless they know that you can be pushed.
right.
They won't give you more than what
Yeah.
you can handle.
Yeah.
Arla and
And
I,
Yeah.
Arla and
I was
I,
good.
Arla
Hold
and
on,
I
Tom.
had a-
Hold on a second, Tom. What I just want to say what Arla said is that they won't push you past your fear level, kind of thing. And and also just to tie this point up or whatever, is that when you trust your experiences or whatever, you're open to them. I'm not talking about not using discernment, but when you show trust and you're open to them, which is the opposite of what this husband is. And I'm saying that not without judgment. I'm just saying that as a fact or from observation, when you're open to what they're showing you or whatever, they're going to continue to show you. You have to kind of be okay, what's next? Instead of, I don't believe that. I saw this, but I don't believe that. You have to be of the what's next attitude, and it really does open up, and they show you what's next.
Yeah.
back
Sorry,
in
Tom.
20
What were you saying?
back
Tom?
in 2014, Arla and I and a lady named Jackie were in my car returning to camp. And we came around a curve and there's two Sasquatch standing right in the middle of the road in front of the car. By the time I got stopped, we were less than 20 feet from them. Okay. The lady in the right front seat just absolutely yelled, Sasquatch or Bigfoot, Bigfoot. And they turned, took Houston, we're over the bank. In the 20 miles from where that happened back to our camp, by the time we got to camp, she had not seen two Bigfoot in the road. She'd seen two Mexican drug mules wearing long-haired ghillie suits and flip-flops with rucksacks on. Her mind wouldn't allow her to see what she saw. And it was
Wow.
Arla who said to her, Jackie, you've traveled 6,000 miles to see what you've seen, and now your mind's not letting you see it. And
Well,
she
that's kind of the point that I was saying. There's something that happens when you go from rational material everyday world,
Yeah.
and then you see a Sasquatch or you see an UFO or an alien in your bedroom. Something big happens,
Mhm.
and that needs to be looked at and explored more, because there's some people that they just get stone shocked.
Mhm.
They're like, they can't deal with it.
So,
That's like the guy in Canada.
Mr. Carter,
That's like the guy in Canada.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mr.
He could
Carter,
not, he could not relate to it.
can I interject?
Yeah.
Can you share with Thom and Arla that story of that guy from Canada about it has something to do with their speed or whatever, and it wasn't the father and the guy, and they saw it twirling into the ground or something and doing miraculous things with. Can you share that story?
That was the Harry Spaniard chapter.
The Harry Spaniard. Yeah, I'm going to go and fill my coffee up, so I'll be back.
Okay.
So don't just go quiet after the story's done, okay?
No, we're going to talk about you. So get off stage quick so
Yeah.
we can make fun
Stop
of
the
you.
show with the announcement of getting coffee.
So
You rigged him, Beans.
my
Give them the long version of it because it's a great story. And I'll see you in a bit.
Go get your coffee. Just go get your coffee.
Oh, wait, Todd. I want to hear the story.
Can you imagine that? Do it in slow motion, and then people would have to dial it down to the right speed so they could hear it. Did that make sense? No, forget.
okay, my guy and his father, they were coming back from his father sold prefab metal buildings in the BC, in the wilds of BC. And he had made a lot of very close friends with the indigenous peoples because they were buying some of his product because they were so far from anywhere, they couldn't get to that stuff. So anyway, they'd been on a sales trip of selling these prefab buildings like Delta big metal buildings. Anyway, they're driving back through this forest that they've been on many times, and they saw this Sasquatch just pop up, and then he popped back down. And so they said, "Did you see that?" And his father said, at first his father was denying it. He said, "No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it." But they saw it again and again. It kept popping up and then ducking back down. And every time they would think to themselves, where did he go? They weren't speaking verbally. Every now and then they were, but where did he go? As soon as they would mentally think, where did he go? He would pop back up and let them see him. And then he'd go back down. They drive another 100 yards, 200 yards. Do you think he's still here? He'd pop up. He couldn't have possibly heard those words. It was communicating with this father and son. And so they got to a point where they had to kind of stop on the road a little bit and kind of gather their thoughts. And it was, where did he go? And he got up and stood up and he showed him. And what's called the Hairy Spaniard because it was like a very tan face, a swarthy Mediterranean is how my guy described him, is a swarthy Mediterranean, very dashing kind of looking, but obviously a Sasquatch. So it started running. And as it was running, and I've seen this myself with the visions I get from this clan in Illinois, but he started running and his feet, and you've heard this before, their feet look like the Roadrunner. It's going 1,000 miles an hour, but he's only covering the same amount of ground that you would if you were running, just a regular running. But his feet are going this incredible speed. RPM is just amazing. And he's plowing rocks and trees out of the ground. He's on all fours now. He's doing this. He's clawing. He's pulling up rocks and trees. He's obfuscating his tracks. So he's covering his tracks as he's making all this. He's screaming and yelling, and it just blew them away. And so again, they said, well, where'd he go? Where'd he go? After all this was over, he popped back up. And we decided, because we had this conversation, that this being was assigned to them. And when they verbalized, where did he go? He was mandated by the powers that be to stand up and show himself, because that is part of his chore, to teach these humans about the world. It would just keep doing that back. And so I said, you know, I think he is assigned to you guys, because he is, when you say that, it would probably 5 or 6 times, it would stop what it's doing and stand up. Here I am. What? Okay, I'm done. I go back to my business. And so that's how we came up with the thought that these beings, 3 specifically, 2 men and 1 woman, a female and a male, excuse me, were assigned to them because they dealt with them over the years. And it was the same ones. Not all 3, sometimes it was just 2, sometimes it was 1, but not all 3 together ever, as far as I know. And so they were assigned to them. I'll be God. If I got to get up every time you think where I'm at, okay, here I do. I'm you know, the powers that are ruling me, you're telling me I have to get up and do this. So he would stop what he's doing and show where he was. And so that was part of my trying to teach him that, you know, they've been trying to teach you long before this and long after this, and you're still denying it, you know. And his father, who died 5 or 6 years ago, I think, finally said, when my guy went into the hospital to visit him, he said, you know, all those years you thought you saw stuff, and I said, we didn't. He goes, we did. And, you know, my guy said, I know. So he was trying to protect his son. But I do believe they're assigned to certain people, or adopt them, perhaps, officially, to enlighten them and teach them things. It was
that's for certain. And interesting that it took 3 to take care of him. And so that's pretty cool. You know, those are things that are in your face. And, you know, it just speaks to the human mind, and the human mind going, no, we've not been taught that this happens like this. No, this can't happen. And, you know, for this too, do you know who Leo Seltzer? Do you know that name?
Yeah.
Leo Seltzer. He passed several years ago, but he had some phenomenal stories of stuff that happened in BC and Canada as well. And I can say from my experience that some of them up there are pretty good at doing this very thing that you're talking about, and having almost a comical way of doing
it was funny.
Yeah, it was in their face. And yet, you know, and that's kind of like what we were talking about a while ago. You can have it in your face, but you can talk yourself out of it. I even had one guy, we were down in the mountains, and had a daytime sighting, a clear sighting, went straight back to the cabin, drew it, and it was like, yeah, this was it. By that evening, he said he just imagined it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Isn't that crazy?
And so, yeah, dealing with that human mind that is totally not open to and this guy that did that, he had been a researcher for a long time. It wasn't like he just happened on that.
Yeah.
He'd been a researcher for a long time, and a lot of the people that I've dealt with through the years that did walk away from it. And I mean, I had that one guy. I asked him, I said, what would you do if someone asked you about the healings and things you had? He said, I'd lie about it. So
Yeah.
there are some people that just cannot do it.
Now,
Yeah.
They just can't.
it happens a lot, Arla. Like, that's why I say, like, we're programmed to either like forget or like start to doubt, like, and start to rationalize, but it's really not rationalizing. It's like it's going in the other direction, but we think we're rationalizing, right? Like, so I always say, like, that first initial second where something happens, whatever you thought you saw, I don't care how crazy it was, like, write it down, say it to somebody, you know. And I always use like a wild type of like explanation, you know, example, but like, even if it was like a unicorn on a dragon, you know, whatever, flying through the air, like, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you jot it down or remember it, because every time your name is changed to Big Pasta. I just got an alert. Thank you guys.
No, it wasn't guys, it was me.
Yeah, I kind of figured. What happened to your coffee? I think I got my point across. You get my drift, but yeah, because we will talk ourselves out of it, like, and for whatever reason it may be, for whatever reason. So I hold myself accountable, even because sometimes there's things. The more I think about it, I'm like, I don't want to say that, like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, it's just so far out there.
Well, I think, I don't know. I feel I've never had the I've never been scared to talk about anything, as you know, Ma. But I also but I also think that, if you're called upon to represent them, which each and every one of us is, let's face it. I mean, it's not like,
Yeah.
I think you have to honor that by being completely forthright and honest. I mean, I don't care what anybody thinks. If it's the truth, I'm going to say it, because otherwise what are you doing? Like, what are you in it for? What are you in it for? You want to tell the truth and get to the bottom of it, or not bottom of it, share it, or do you just want to, like, just tell people what you think they're ready to hear or whatever, and water it down.
Well, for me, like, the reason why I brought this up is this is something this actually I found happening in my life. I've had all this kind of paranormal stuff. I got no problem with paranormal stuff. But then I realized just in the last month or two that I'm still living in a rational material world. And I'm looking at the paranormal stuff, right?
Yeah.
And say, well, okay, that's part of the mix, right? But I'm not actually but now I'm seeing that I really am not doing a service to myself to live in two worlds. I need to be able to totally accept that and here's the big one. It's not just that Sasquatch are paranormal. It's that everything is paranormal. The sky, the trees, the birds,
Yeah.
and me and my constituents that make me up. They're all spiritual, and there's this kind of and to live in that, it's like the Sasquatch had me talk to a rock for 3 hours one night, right? So you would think that's pretty much paranormal, right? But I have not completely integrated that into my life in 10 years, that I still haven't completely integrated into my life that there is a spiritual reality, and that's like Arla says, that's the normal, that's the real.
I really think that you're talking to a rock was to prepare you for dealing with Brian.
Well, Rock did say he was God, and I thought he was a little bit egotistical, so could be.
Well,
Yeah.
here's a thought, and this is something I tell everybody who's having doubts. From the day you exit the birth canal till you're 20, 18 to 20, depending on if you go to college, you are told how to see the world. You're taught biblically, scholastically, your parents, your peer group, you're taught how to see the world. The books they teach you in school are generations old. They have old data, and you're taught how to see the world. There's no UFOs. There's no Sasquatch. Oh wait, the government lied. There are UFOs. We'll get back to you on that. But we're taught how to see the world. So when you see something, there's no such thing as a ghost or a UFO or a Sasquatch. Well, you immediately put it somewhere else. Well, I must have seen a guy in a ghillie suit, or I had those nasty tacos from Rita's, or whatever you're thinking, or bad dope or whatever. You explain it away so you're comfortable with that explanation. You move on with your life. Only if you constantly see things like that, and you're smart enough to go, maybe I should look into this. But that's why there's so much denial. And if you're ingrained in it and you're not tested into your 20s or even 30s, you're screwed. You're stuck with that belief system unless you have such an aha moment you cannot possibly deny it. So that's why there's a lot of denial. I've had these people tell me, I saw this, I saw that. I just thought that was a bunch of bullshit. Then suddenly,
God's right in the middle of it, because it's like there's God either made a rational material world, or God made a spiritual world out of himself. And it's like, so this is huge, amount of furniture got to be moved around your house to make room for all that.
I was very fortunate in that I had parents that didn't do that. I got started investigating Sasquatch because of my dad, the Jerry Crew incident, when that newspaper article was picked up by the wire services and hit my hometown newspaper. It was my father who introduced it to me. I was 15 years old. He came to me with the article and said, "What do you think about this?" Okay.
Yeah.
What is your take on it? Now,
Very
it's
much.
the same with Arla with her grandmother.
I was just
What do
thinking
you
that.
think it is? Yeah.
I don't
And-
think I
Yeah.
was ever, none of my grandparents, my mom had problems with things. Of course, she had me as a daughter. My dad,
Problem one.
I was never, yeah, I was never ever told I had to believe
Yeah.
something that I couldn't believe something.
Mm-hmm.
And so from the first of being in this world, there were things I saw, things I did, things I knew. And it was like I was never shut down. My mom shut me down a lot. Like I said, I was her daughter, but my grandmother for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I could see or say anything. And I think the number one thing that she did for me was to never put fear into a thought of
Right.
anything I brought to her.
Exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was always about respect. It
Yeah.
was always about talk to it. Of course, I did that from the time I started talking. I talked to everything. So I raise my children that way. I have got one daughter that adheres to that. The others did not. They were taught the same way. So it comes down to, at some point, you yourself making the choice
Mm-hmm.
of what you're going to believe. I mean, one of my grandmothers was a United Pentecostal, very strict religion. I
Mhm.
told her one day we were talking, and I said, Mimi, I don't want to go to heaven. Now, you would not say that to a United Pentecostal person. That was blasphemy.
Mhm.
What she did was ask me, why? Why don't you want to go to heaven? And I told her, because there's no trees, there's no water, there's no animals. There was none of that. You always heard in church it was streets of gold and mansions and things like that.
Mhm.
She never told me, well, you can't think like that. She just let me express it. That's where we need to be today with our children. And like I said,
Mhm.
I've got some children who adhere to that and some that don't. That child that does raise her children the same way. They're very open. I sat around my dining table with grandchildren who were children at the time and talked about their past lives. No one said to them, you can't talk like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that I believe that they come to teach us is to
Yeah.
learn about ourselves and to look through our hearts and our understandings and try not to enforce what the world, because you're not with your parents or family all the time. You are going to have to deal with school and other things. But
Yeah.
having that someone to talk to tell your stories to, and that's where you come in, Carter,
Mhm.
because you're somebody that people can tell their stories to,
Right.
and they don't have to conform to some belief of somebody outside what they're experiencing. And it's what all of us do. All of us talk to people who
Yeah.
know that they can come and talk to us.
Yeah.
And we're going to share those things for them until they're ready to totally do that themselves if they ever choose to do it.
Yeah.
So everyone that's here today serves a purpose for bringing this world to where we're going, where we
Mhm.
Yeah.
are for a big part of the time.
Yeah. You
Well,
know,
that's good. This is the
Carter,
only club that'll have me.
yeah.
You what?
This is the only club that'll have me.
Well,
Well, you're in the good club.
It's like,
you are the cosmic Kojak after all, right?
Right.
That's quite
Hey,
an
baby.
that's quite a title.
Groucho,
Anyway, you
Groucho
know,
Marx said,
you
I'd
know, I
never
mean,
want to be a member of a club that'd have me for a member.
Yeah. What was that? Marx Brothers?
That was Groucho, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Ma said, and you know, the whole thing with the Sasquatch with me is about, you know, like you were saying, you know, when we're brought into the world, we're taught, right? All these things. But we're also taught most of the things that we're taught, and I'm, you know, I can't put a blanket statement over all of them, but you just think about it. A lot of the things that we're taught, most of them revolve around fear, division, and judgment, right? Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Control.
Which yeah, which is a control thing, and which is exactly the opposite of who we are. I know that because I've been in that state. The Sasquatch had me there, you know, of that perfect love or whatever. And so I kind of had that perspective, and it was, and so I could see through the bullshit. I think I could anyway, but that really is the crux for anybody listening. And you know, I mean, I can't say it enough. And Arla says this too: is that we have to quit judging. We have to quit being in fear because there's really nothing to fear, and I'm not going to get into the big reasons why. But it's, you know, and division is bullshit, and it's all, like I said, and we know, is to keep us divided, separated, thinking about bullshit things when we, you know, when they really don't matter, kind of thing, and you know, and all that stuff, and that that to me is, well, that's my relationship, or at least the most important thing of the relationship. And I really don't want to say I'm the most important, because the entire thing is sacred to all of us, but it's the core of it, I think.
I'm
And that,
only
you know,
just, I'm
and it really is so, it really is so deep and whatever. And so I think universal across the board, that I really do think that that is the key to our consciousship. Because just think about it. We don't engage in any of those things. All the crap that's going around in the world today, it just can't even happen. You don't even go there. You just don't even go there, you know. So you know, it's anyway. I don't know why I got into that.
I'm gonna disagree with one thing you said there.
No.
You were talking about
I can always edit you out anyway.
right. You were talking about being taught at a very early age. You weren't taught till after 2012, when I became Tater.
Yeah.
He's
Hot
got
Tater and
some
Ma.
he's got some zingers for you today.
Yeah. I'm the offspring of the Pope and the High Priestess.
Oh my gosh. Oh, heavens.
Bud Cantrell.
Yeah.
Carter,
Carter, how'd they get you to do this?
Huh?
How'd they get you to come into this mess?
Well,
$20.
He's medicated.
Uh,
He's
But
medicated, and so it almost makes sense to him.
your family in Washington, Carter, just generally speaking, what area of Washington are they in?
Right at the border.
Oh, Canadian border?
Yeah, very
Okay,
close.
okay, cool.
I don't give general, all their names are fake, and
Yeah,
I don't put the location in the books, because
right.
I don't want, there's reasons somebody would put two and two together with them, just,
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But they're not far from the border.
Okay.
Carter, has she ever put ribbons out? My kids here love ribbons hung. They took them for years, and I like pretty colored ribbons. So I would just hang them, hang a bunch of them in a tree. Oh, they had so much fun with them. They would weave them, they would do all kinds of things, and they love, the kids here love colored lights, like battery operated or solar operated. I mean, we would do this thing where I would go turn them on, they would turn them off. Well, I would just wait, they'd turn them back on, then I go turn them off.
Yeah.
And
She
so
does lights. She does the lights.
does she?
And she does the necklaces. They're very brightly colored.
Yeah.
They're either made, glass beads or metal,
Yeah.
or she uses they look like long strands of like polyester wire. They're like bright yellow, bright oranges, very bright colors.
Right.
But they're just necklaces you put around. You can kind of turn them 3 or 4 different ways and make a necklace or some bow. So she uses that, but I'm gonna be talking to her later today or tomorrow. Actually, I'll mention the ribbons, because that's she's having so much luck with that.
They love that, and I would get so tickled at things that they would do. And they, of course, they love that. They just love seeing us enjoy this interaction we're having with them. And they might not want to have anything to do with the ribbons. I can't say, but I know the kids here, they had a really good time.
Well, we know they're not fans of the mirrors, at least in her location. So maybe a replacement would be the ribbons.
Yeah, I would definitely not be using the mirrors anymore. And I'm not going to say they don't like them because of any particular reason. I'm just going to say that it sounds like to me, if they broke them and they're continually turning them, then there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And, years and years ago, when I did a lot of stuff, I would just say to them, if you don't want me to do this, then let me know somehow that this is not, what you want. I didn't put much food out or anything like that, but we played, and I consider this interaction like that is we're playing with each other, and what that does is it draws us closer and closer together.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I likened it to my explanation as to maybe why they didn't like it is the Native Americans in Sasquatch centuries ago had a symbiotic relationship. And when the white man did what they did to the Native Americans and they were taking their pictures, the Native Americans saw their faces on a piece of paper and you stole my soul. That's evil. Don't do that. We don't like that. They hate cameras. Well, if the Sasquatch and the Native Americans with their relationship learned from each other that these square boxes with a big eyeball on it steal your soul. So maybe they don't like the mirrors because of the same thing. They look into your soul, and I can't explain it, but I just don't think they like them for whatever reason, because they're not vain.
Yeah.
And they don't need to see themselves to know
Exactly.
who they are. We have to look in our
Right.
mirror
And
every day and
and
go,
they don't.
I'm looking pretty
Whether
good.
that's the reason or not the reason, it's just like if it's a repetitive thing of them doing this, then for whatever
Yeah,
reason
do something else.
it is,
Yeah.
just don't do it, anymore, and give them something else. I mean, these hairy kids, they're something else.
Mhm.
They are like a lot of our kids who still have that innocence about them. And I'm not saying that they're innocent or not smart. I'm just saying they still hold that love of doing this interaction
Mhm.
with each other. And they get excited when they see us having a good time. I mean, even
Oh, yeah.
a glyph, and we go, "Oh my gosh, I got a glyph! It's a glyph!" Well, that energy, not only did they understand that, you're putting that wonderful energy into the world,
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
so happy
Yeah.
about getting that. So it's all about getting to that place and that energy being shared
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world.
I think the mirrors are going to go and the ribbons are going to be replaced. I just got a funny feeling the ribbons are going to come in, at least as an experiment.
So
Oh
Carter,
yeah.
of any of the habituations or any of the people you're in contact with, do any of them have what you would think of as a teacher-student relationship? Is anybody on that kind of like learning curve or learning line or whatever?
My family here in Missouri, Eastern Missouri, the wife has a female that seems to have attached herself. She sees her often watching her from the woods as she's working around the yard and stuff like that. So I think, and I haven't talked to him at length, but since the last time I talked to him, which was about a year ago, I have found that there's a female, and I think she has the sense that she's 9 or 10 years old, is trying to communicate and be a little bit more available to her. She's showing herself more. I think maybe she's kind of getting baptized to, they're getting baptized to each other, but there's not anything that she shared with me yet that's like a learning thing, but she's called her name, I think, and she watches her often. And so there's an attraction there. So I think with my lady out west, there could be several, but I know one of them is a mother because that mother appeared to her with her baby holding the teddy bear that was in a bag, but it was out of the bag when she was shown that morphing into shape. So They took it out of the bag and then put it back. But she knew that it actually had been taken out because there was 2 bears up there. They've been switched. They were in different positions on the tree, but still nailed into the tree. But that's the only other one that seems to have some kind of budding relationship. And right now, that's just started in the last year and a half.
Yeah, that's the subtle stuff they want you to notice is the couple, something a little different. That's the thing that when you start thinking, geez, you know, was this a coincidence? Did something else happen occur here? Then you notice a subtle little change and like those bears, and that's the kicker. That's what you want to look
Yeah.
for.
It's just little shoulder taps, you know, check this out, see if you're paying attention, you know, and maybe they did it on purpose, or maybe it was just accidental because I'm colorblind. I don't know what bear goes in what bag. I mean, you know, but it's maybe that they just, they are messing with each other. And I want to see if you're paying attention. And
Well, that's
that
one
is
of
the
the-
form
yeah.
of they're communicating.
That's one of the key things to them continuing the teaching them is that they pay attention to the little details and they give them more, and
Well,
then they, you know,
usually-
then it starts evolving.
Usually the answer of why they did it lies within the direct connection of that person and that Sasquatch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where it lies. So once you get really in tune with that, then you start to, I always tell people that I can speculate, but the answer lies within you. You know, if it was your experience, that answer lies within you.
Yeah, that's right. Because you can't talk to, you pick 5 people off the street, you're going to get one person who's grumpy old fart, people that are pretty happy, well adjusted. You're going to get one guy who's a redneck and he don't believe in like nothing, you know. Then you're gonna you can't have the same exact conversation with each one and expect it to all turn out the same. So everybody has their personalities, and you know they're going to be offended or scared or surprised.
Yeah, perception, sure. I mean, and then you could have 10 people who experience the same thing. You won't get the same story. It'll be the same story, but it'll be from a different angle, you know,
Mhm.
because everyone's different, right? They all saw it different. You know,
Yeah.
whether they saw it as a threat or they saw it as something like playful, you know, to those extremes or down to minor details, it's usually different.
Yeah, 10 witnesses to a crime, each one will be absolutely different,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. That's
The
just
most horrifying Sasquatch encounter ever, for one guy is, hey, my friends are here. For the next guy, you know, so
Yeah.
you know, so that's basically it.
Yeah.
So
And you gotta once you build a little bit of trust too, because I used to have a lot of fear, and it wasn't anything they were doing. It lied in me, you know, it lied in I had to twist the way I perceived, you know, the way that particular size, that thing, that Sasquatch is up to this point perceived as a monster in everything I've heard, right? So you can either take it at face value and you know check it out for yourself, which is what I decided to start doing.
hey,
You did what Carter was talking about earlier. You were predisposed to believe that.
Right.
So when you saw it, all it did was, you know, bring veracity to that. I was
Yeah.
thinking myself, I've never had fear, and I've never really understood why. And while we're sitting here talking, it came to me when I was talking about the teaching I had from my parents. Immediately after leaving that, I went into the Navy and I spent 5 years on a submarine. You learn not to have fear there because fear will kill you and your entire crew. So you learn to operate no matter what's happening. And I really think that's why I've never had fear.
It's possible,
Oh, my-
Tom. You know, like, that's what I always say is my last job before I had my Sasquatch encounter was a combat vet. You know what I mean? Like I got out of Afghanistan,
Mhm.
came into this, you know, got dumped out because I extended my contract. So I was in Afghanistan. A couple months later, I was, you know, on the street again, then back on Long Island, then, you know, whatever, you know, willy-nilly for a little while, found the VA, started healing. Then I started spiritually healing, you know, and I'm really, you know, fast tracking this story, but, you know, literally my last job was a soldier, and, you know, and I, this just scared the crap out of me to the point where I just dropped to the floor. know,
Mhm.
and it just fight or flight. But I kind of like just went straight down. I didn't just
Mhm.
it didn't seem like running was an option, and he didn't do nothing threatening at all, not even a little bit. It was just literally like how I reacted.
In my book, Sasquatch Face to Face, which is a list of different encounters across the country, I point that out often. How many people talking about how frightened they were, how they were catatonic in fear, and all the thing is doing is standing there watching them,
Yeah,
just sitting there
yeah.
looking at them. It's not doing anything, not being, somebody asked me one the other day what I would do in an encounter. How would I handle an encounter? The same way I always do. Hi, big fella. My name's Thom. What are you doing today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
This-
Thom,
this-
I had to laugh, Thom, when you
Go
were
ahead,
talking about
Brian.
that submarine. When talking about that submarine, I had to laugh because I would have killed everybody within half an hour. Because I am claustrophobic. I could not go into a submarine. I cannot go into a cave. I swear I must have been buried alive in a past life or something. Like even thinking about it terrifies me.
they
Even just thinking about it.
they checked
So
us
scary.
pretty thoroughly for that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
I would-
Nautilus, the Nautilus I've been on, in Groton, Connecticut a few times, and Tom, it took me forever to 4 times, and I still haven't seen all it has to offer, because every time I get down in there, I'm coming back out. I'm trying to get back out because, like he said, like I'm super claustrophobic, and I start to psych myself out after a little while. I'm like, get me out of this thing,
We operated with one ship, 2 crews, and we alternated crews.
Hot
When you-
cots, yeah.
When you first went on board, it looked very tight and confined, but after you've been there for a couple of months, it's spacious, it gets larger and larger, and that's when they know it's time to take you in. It gets when you have all the room in the world.
I think this is a real important topic, and I want to tie it back into what I was saying about worldview. Is okay, so we get a lot of imprints from the media and movies and stuff that the spirit world is scary and demons and stuff. But the question is the spirit world actually loving and embracing for the most part? And I know there is bad things out there, but and because we have this innate fear of the unknown. But is the spirit world, well, this is what the Sasquatch, I think, are doing. Is the spirit world loving and good? Or is it monsters that are going to get you? And that's a big switch there, because everybody's got the little monsters or the phobias or something.
Yeah, but how many people have ever been gotten?
Well, that's rational material thinking, right? There's there's no proof that very many people have ever been hurt by Sasquatch at all.
No,
So not in modern times.
unless they were shooting at them.
Yeah, well,
Well,
right.
the same thing has to be said for the angelic realm and the ETs. There's a lot of people are freaked out by the ETs, but the data shows that 80% of the people who have ever been contacted with the ETs want to continue that contact. They want to go with them. They want to hang out with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's like 80% good, and then 10% could
I'd
care
go with
less
a
one way
minute.
or the other.
Yeah.
So
Usually
How-
they
how-
return.
that's a
they
different
return-
worldview, and you have to build that worldview on your evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
How-
returned to their bed too. Like that's what I always say too. There's like some kind of gentle side to that, like from abductees and stuff. Like they could dump you back off anywhere, or you know what I mean, or leave you in shambles, or not bring us back. And like you said, there's a little bit of a, the word attacked is thrown around too often with the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sabe, whatever you want to call them. I always say attacked is used too loosely.
It's
So-
marketing.
so Carter-
They show them as snarling, blood and saliva
Yeah.
dripping from the big fangs, and that's how they're shown, because that sells T-shirts, coffee mugs, and books.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
But that's
rock and
not how
roll.
they are.
It's rock and roll, baby.
That's right.
Back to that, right?
That's when
Oh, it is, right?
somebody tells me, how they live and this and that, and I ask them what their source of this is. Well, it's what the TV shows show. As
So-
why was that TV show made? They're made for one reason and one reason only.
Eyes.
That's to sell advertising.
Views, yeah, so,
Sell beer and tampons.
That's it. And if they can't sell it, then they aren't there. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do whatever they have to sell advertising. And they will, ask Cliff Barrickman the things they asked them to do. Ask Bobo.
Yeah.
He'll tell you the things that they were told to do and the things that they wouldn't report that they found, even on that silly little show. Because they were trying to boost the ratings.
Well,
So-
I mean,
To
those
sell
are the
more
same,
ads.
that's the same kind of guys that have the mentality of the BFRO that, all the real
Well-
stories they bury, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
only, they don't want to get into anything like that.
well,
Hey, I
we
wanted
know
to
what-
ask, I wanted to ask Carter something.
Yes,
Yeah,
Of-
well, he
of-
is
of-
our guest. Let's do that.
How many, okay.
Mhm.
So how many of the people that you're in contact with regularly, how many of them view at this point in their relationship or view the relationship as a positive one?
all of them.
And all of them do.
Yeah.
And are there
Let's
any?
say it's not negative. No negativity has been brought up at all.
Oh, okay.
I won't
Okay.
say, so absence of negativity would say it's positive. They have
Mhm.
nothing bad to say. They
Mhm.
ask questions like growing pains, like, well, should we talk back? Should we gift them? Should we put up a structure? Should we, I said, well, so they're all moving forward instead
Oh,
of,
good.
if you don't want them around the house, I'll just tell them, put up cameras. They'll be gone in a heartbeat.
That's right.
But if you are trying to continue the relationship, well, what do we do? What about gifting? What about food? What about, they ask questions as if to prolong the relationship and learn from it, not like, well, how do I get these blankety blanks off my property? Well, put up some cameras or sell the house,
I've always said that game cameras are the best Sasquatch repellent ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
can you share with us with any of these people some of obviously some of them, their perspective as to who they are has been changed over time. Can you give us some of the dramatic examples of like, wow, that's not an ape, or that's not this, there's something more here?
The one that comes to mind is the one, it's in Arkansas, and they're devout Christians, but they are questioning the portrayal of them as the fallen angels, the Nephilim, and doing the work of the devil, because they are seeing none of that. And they had a little trouble coming to grips with the fact that they were even there. And then they were starting to hear this samurai chatter. That's a language. They're hearing that. And so their worldview of them as a negative force, growling, snarling creatures that are going to rip you as soon as you get out your front door. They're slowly transitioning from, and that's only because of not of an experience previous, it's because of the experience now. It's the marketing of them is bloodthirsty creatures here to eat your children and steal your women and procreate and all that stuff, So they're transitioning from that to like, these are sapient, sentient beings that have feelings and thoughts, and they're up to nothing but good. And it's conflicting with what they were taught or perceived.
Yep.
So
How-
that's, go ahead.
How have give us some examples of how the Sasquatch showed them that their intentions were good, or how, because
Well, the gifting, the
gifting.
gifting, virtually all of these people except 2 new ones, and they're within the last year. They have not gotten the handle of that yet, the gifting. But my people out west and several other families, they gift often. And the only thing I ever told them was don't do good human food on a regular basis. They'll expect it and be banging on your house, and it'll cause mayhem. But other than that, it's the gifting, and it's an interaction. And taking animals, stuffed animals, and replacing it with a rock.
Mhm.
Well, that means something
Mhm.
to the Sasquatch. And when
Yeah.
you're gifted a rock from a Sasquatch, you're going, well, okay, it's a rock. But no, it means something to them. So they're getting the meaning of
Mhm.
being gifted a wreath made of thorns or
Mhm.
5 pine cones strung together with a piece of vine.
Yeah.
What is this? Well, this means something. So I gave them a bag of apples. They gave me 5 pine cones.
Mhm.
That's probably a fair trade.
Probably
So
is.
they're understanding that the materialism of it means nothing. It's the act,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the meaning
What-
behind it, which is subjective, of course. But
One thing I would ask is in the gifting is don't gift is high sugar foods.
well, I'll have to disagree with one thing. They love payday.
Yeah, they do. They love it. My kids love it too,
Yeah,
but they don't have dentists.
yeah, yeah.
And I really don't want to run into my 9'3" teacher with a abscessed tooth.
Yeah, or handing you a dental bill.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Oh, my-
The
Yeah,
peanut
and-
butter is something else they love.
Peanut butter and apples, they love them both.
Anything and a toothbrush?
Well, in Georgia,
Yeah,
they liked
right.
honey buns, and I
Yeah.
never put a honey bun out for them. They would get in my car and take them. They were my honey buns.
They spend more time in your car than you did.
Yeah.
Oh, they have. Oh my God.
I have one habituation family, and this has only happened twice to them, where they were the husband was shown outer space, the moon, Earth, and Saturn. And he woke up, and this came in the window, which is right outside this window is where a lot of gifting has been going on back and forth. And so he has seen twice, and only twice, where he is moving through space, coming closer, and he's moving. And I have the same vision. I've been given the same vision about a half a dozen times, which is really bizarre, but that verified it for me. He's going through at a certain speed, but everything by him is going much faster, yet he is moving at a slower rate. So there is that communication that we are showing you something else. And there's gifting going on outside this window where this vision came in one night. It's a triangular type shape. And I've been shown where they live. The clan I made contact with in 2019 in Illinois have shown me, and it's the same thing. I usually meditate before I go to bed at night, and they will come to me and show me, and I'm moving at a certain speed, but the woods and surrounding terrain is going by 1,000 miles an hour. But I know I'm only moving this. Their version of space and time obviously is different than ours.
Oh, yeah.
And they're showing me where they live. And, they've told me this is home. I see the kids running around digging in the ground for bugs and mice and moles and a couple of fat relative Sasquatch are just kind of sitting around, and I'm just seeing the day in the life.
Mhm.
So I've seen that probably half a dozen times,
But that was in an Earth-like, woods-like
Yeah.
setting.
Well, now my
It
witness.
wasn't in like a, house. It wasn't in like all white or anything like that. It was.
No. Well, my guy.
It was like a place on
He
Earth.
was in outer space, but my view, I am shown, and I asked them. I said, "Is this looks like my research area? Where is this? This looks like Missouri, but it kind of looks like the same place in Illinois." And they just said, "Home. This is home." the voices in my head just said, this is home. It looks like, and there's two places where I go, they both have long, deep ravines, about 75 to 100 yards each. They're very rocky and hard to traverse, and you have to go down slowly and go back up even slower because it's really tricky and rocky and nasty. But I'm shown that. So they're showing me they're showing me earthly places. My guy out here in Independence, Missouri, who's been shown this twice, it's outer space. But he attributes it to the Sasquatch because in the window where this comes in, right outside that window is where bones are left stuck in the ground, glyphs, apples are taken and given. They had a couple of plum trees that were completely stripped until they too said, hey, cut that out. You can have half. So the Sasquatch take the top half and leave the bottom half for them. But so he's seeing one thing and I'm being shown another, but it's the speed at which you're going and everything else. He described the exact same thing.
It's interesting. It's interesting that he said he was going out. Was he going out in space, and then he saw the Earth and Saturn?
Yeah,
that's to me that's really profound.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in this one or not. It's a great drawing. He drew it for me, and it's probably in the other book. But anyway, it's a great drawing. And he said, I've only seen it twice. And my wife was in bed next to me, and I was sitting up in bed. I was looking, talking, moving. She never budged. She may have just been snapped off, But anyway, so I get communications from them. And since 2020, when I went back and made the connection with these guys, we've had so much weird things happening here in the house. Somebody tapping me on the head while I'm watching TV. I'm thinking something like a little impish little juvenile coming here. Let's mess with the human, what? And my wife, we had the same, all kinds of weird stuff. I've got a 3 or 4 page Word document list now, strangeness in our home, of all kinds of little things. They're little shoulder taps. They're letting us know they're there, unless we have a poltergeist here. But this all started at almost the exact same time when this book came out, when I made contact. So I liken it to that.
I could see another book in the works. Strangeness in My Home by Carter Buschardt.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about, I'm not even talking about.
Or you should have a pen name. You should have a pen name. Actually, you should branch off and be the Cosmic Kojak for a different kind of.
I could be
different kind of book,
Hey, I didn't want to cut anyone off, but I'm gonna slide out. I want to thank you guys for having me here and thank Carter for being here.
See you, buddy.
Good to see you.
All right, love you guys.
You're always welcome there, Big Mike.
Yeah, I got a little running around to do, but I'll be in the chat and stuff. But
Bye, Ricky, Tony.
See you, buddy.
One time that I was actually taken, and I had they gave me a vision, and I was walking up my stairs, and all of a sudden I started seeing things like a bird's eye view of the world, and I saw all the 4-legged creatures, and I was sort of getting this like introduction to the spirit world. And at the very end, so I'm walking up my stairs and going into the door of the apartment, and I'm walking into my room where my computer is. And in the end, I was like out in outer space, and I was seeing these gray aliens, and they were looking at me like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? So I guess they saw me, I was seeing them. And then the last thing that happened, which, and asked, by the time I got into bed, last thing that happened was a whole entire planet came to me just to say hello. And I was glad I was laying down, because that's kind of like an overwhelming big thing. So I just thought I'd give you that, so that to say there's sort of a ballpark here of some kind of similarity.
This is all normal. This is the normal world that we are walking in, and we're walking in it more and more and more. This isn't paranormal. It isn't outside the normal. It is the normal. And every day I see people talking about these types of things. They're opening
Yeah.
up and talking.
Mhm.
That's like I have the one little group now, Ashley Stinnett and I do, connections to the star people. Well, the star people are working so diligently now to help us. They have been for a long, 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 long time, but we're coming into that understanding. And Kashima showed me a long time ago, and I've seen other things, through the years as to what it is that is happening now. Disclosure is not going to mean anything to someone who is already living in that normal world, accepting that the Sasquatch, the star people, and many others that people call cryptids, they're here to help us. They're not here to harm us, but we're in that space now to where we're ready to see that.
Yeah.
And more people. Uh, yes.
So,
Time is now. The
I
time
got
is
lit
now.
up.
so what I take away from what you're saying, Ma, is that we're in the new normal, just not the new normal they were talking about.
Yeah, and it's
It-
not
I think
a,
you're
This
not
is
on
the
really
real,
a
target.
new
You're
this
on
is
normal.
the
target
real
with
new
that.
normal. This is the real
You're
new
on
normal.
target. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
a new normal. And it takes some adjusting to. You grew up with it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like
Oh, the
Oh,
triangle.
his window was a triangle. What he was looking at was looking
Yep,
through. Yeah.
that's
looks like
awesome.
looks like a Christmas tree in space without the.
The
Looks like a flat burrito.
the triangles are so important now.
Yeah.
They're appearing everywhere. They are like the universe could be built with triangles. You could build the earth with triangles. And
Mhm.
so these 3 points of that triangle, and I loved that they showed him that through the triangle. Um, that's something I've been talking about and hoping people will then begin to notice how many triangles are out there. You can call them pyramids if you want to, but basically you're just seeing a triangle. That's one of the things with the star people. You see a triangle of what looks like stars. You've got those 3 points. And if you watch those 3 points, if you pick up on them, you'll begin to see a lot of things going on around those.
Yeah.
So my life has been intermingled with the star people, Kashima's people, and many others beings that, a lot of people are poo-pooing more and more and more, are picking up that dragons do exist. They
Mhm.
are a part of this normal. And fairies, oh my gosh, they're a part of it. So many things that indigenous people believed are now becoming a
Little people.
part
Barry
of
Webster, Barry
everything.
Webster's brother was talking to one of the people that out there on the reservation, and he was saying that they were talking about the Sasquatch and stuff, and he says it's everyday normal for
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the people on the reservation. And then he said, and we got hundreds of little people running around that nobody ever talks about. We got those people
Yeah.
running around all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they're going out looking for the Sasquatch, and they're seeing little fairies in the trees and running around under the rocks and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's interesting. I was open-minded to all those other things, but basically it was just the Sasquatch were hogging me. And I'm kind of grateful for that because it's a precious relationship. But I did have that one time when I saw myself as a praying mantis being, and I would have never thought that. I would have never thought that like 5 years ago. I would have said, "Okay, man, you're a little bit that's weird," but I actually saw it. So
Well, your
There's-
head is
there-
a
there-
little bit triangular.
And you were there too, Carter. But you know how the insects they get their little
Oh,
they're prey. You were the prey actually. But
Well, don't the praying mantis, don't the female praying mantis eat the male after they're through
yeah,
mating?
I was a female in this incarnation, and you were my my dinner.
That was your hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, you do.
oh
I
my
do.
gosh.
Hey, I'm gonna have to run. My throat's kind of getting to me. I'm drying out, but the COVID thing, I gotta kind of lubricate. So I gotta hit the road.
Oh, you do.
Thank
I had
you,
all.
Paul.
I
Well,
had all
good
this-
luck. Good luck with your next book, because I think you're like one of the great exponents. of,
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. No, it's gonna be. It's just habituations. There's no, it probably not even, maybe a few pictures, but it's just gonna be about these people and their start to finish relationships with these beings.
Well,
That sounds like a great
I think
book.
that's the cutting edge, because they're like we're all in this kind of group of we're already friends. Some of them have been friends for a lifetime or for 10 or 15 years. We're friends with the Sasquatch people, and then
Oh.
but in terms of the general population, they have to go through some kind of a go from Sasquatch as monsters up into Sasquatch as friends. And
Yeah.
that's what you're recording. The transition from strange paranormal into actual friends, and friends is the place to be, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah. This
What
one,
What are we looking at here, Carter? Do you want to run through these in 5 minutes?
yeah, I'll run through real quick. This photo is a habituation, South Missouri, and they are farmers and they sell all their wares at farmers market every weekend. And they have greenhouses made with that heavy sheet plastic, which it's kind of strung over Quonset hut looking. So they're about 50 feet deep and about 25 feet wide, and they heat them in the winter with propane tanks to keep the vegetables from freezing. So somebody had been coming in and out before they even knew they had them on their property stealing vegetables. So then they put a door on the place. Well, the stuff still started disappearing anyway. They discovered that one of the juveniles that they eventually discovered living on their property, they now have seen them constantly for about 2 years. They were going in at night and eating their fill, and this is the condensation on the plastic. This picture is taken on the outside of the greenhouse looking in. That Sasquatch has pressed its face up to the plastic to look for the humans so it can haul ass out of there after it's eaten its fill.
I mean, look at it. Perfect.
Look.
I mean, as soon as I seen it, I could see that. Yeah.
Look at the lips, the nostrils,
everything. Yeah.
the hair. If you blow it up some more, you can see the hair follicles coming out of the flesh. I mean, look at that.
Oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get on to the next picture, but do all of these habituators, do they think of them as another kind of human?
After talking to me, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
They
Well, that's good.
didn't know what they were. They just knew they had them on their property, but they're not destructive. They're not missing any livestock. What they really do is steal the human food.
Yeah.
So
is this a handprint?
that's a handprint, same thing. It's that is made from standing by the door, looking out for humans, and has put his hands up to brace and look. And that handprint is on the inside looking out. And that door, that is about 7 foot up. That's the door they put on to keep them from coming in and stealing the food. Now they don't even lock it anymore because they have an agreement. You can take certain amounts of food. Now their favorite food now is eggplant. They were into the tops of radishes and strawberries. Now they're into hit the other one with the handprint.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I would almost say that this was almost certainly left on purpose.
Yep.
It could be,
Yep.
Mhm.
but they do that. Now, this is the owner. He's got his hand on the outside of the greenhouse. He put it up for comparison.
Yeah.
So his hand is about 7.5 to 8 inches palm to middle finger. That is about 11.5, 12 inches from the base of the palm to the end of the Sasquatch print.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a
That's pretty
juvenile.
cool. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what else I sent you. Oh, check this out. Now, this is the cover of the book. Anyway, this is another habituation, Arkansas. And you see the horizontal tree in the background. It's been knocked down. You see all the trees standing up behind it, and they're all straight up and down. You see the shadow walking behind the preacher. This is the town preacher, by the way. You see the shadow, the triangular shadow at the bottom of the. And
Yeah.
look at the time date stamp. Notice the time. It is 3:12 and 36 seconds. Hit the next one with the handprint.
Can I point something out though that is just jumping out at me before we move on?
Yeah.
And I normally don't see this kind of stuff, but I see a Sasquatch right here.
Yes. Yes.
That is a ground blind.
A ground blind?
It's a blind. It's on the ground. It's like a 8 foot tall, but it's
Okay.
it's on stilts. Right.
Oh,
to
it
the
is?
right of it where you can't.
This shadow
see.
here?
Yeah.
That's the ground blind. You
Okay.
can see the 4 holes in there, the rifle holes. You can see the 4 holes. That's a ground blind. Right next to it, which you can't see, is a corn feeder.
Okay.
They have about 35 cameras there. So what they
Yeah.
do is go out and change the cameras, the SD cards, and check the batteries about every 2
Yeah.
months. And that's what he was doing, is
Yeah.
making his rounds.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that does look like something that they would do. I mean, I've seen them like just
You
in a
can
lot
see
of my
the
pictures. So,
see the triangular. It's a
Yeah.
blind. I've been there. I mean, I've been there.
okay, that's fine. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, what's that?
No, I get it. You're not the first one to say that. Now check the hand photo. Look at the
That's pretty
time.
cool.
stamp.
Look at the nails.
Uh-huh.
Look at the timestamp.
Hmm.
3:12 and 40 seconds.
What was the other one?
That
30,
the other one was 3:12 and 36.
36 seconds, 4
So
seconds.
4
later.
seconds. Yeah.
It's the same day, same location.
So 2 seconds after this guy walked past the camera.
Four.
4
Mhm.
seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4. That quick.
Yeah.
It appeared, it bumped the camera because look now, you can't see the blind because the positioning has changed. The camera's been bumped. The trees in the background look like they're wind blown, but they're just because the camera has just been distorted because it got
Right.
bumped. And the triangular shadow on the ground is a little different because this creature appeared out of nowhere, bumped the camera, and changed the angle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He never saw him. He never heard it. He never sensed it. 4
Just-
seconds.
Yeah. These do not obviously look like human. I mean, look at this here.
Look
Yeah.
at nails.
You don't have all that kind of wrinkling right as close to your nails, and check it in this. What's this all
The
about?
sharp nails like that,
Mhm.
that's what I see on Dogman.
Mhm.
Those sharp nails like that.
Yeah, and there's no telling
At
that
the
it's
point.
not a dog man. It is some cryptid of some kind. And they have had other sightings of other beings on the property. But this guy's the town preacher. He hasn't faked. He wouldn't know how to fake it if he had to, you know. And I had a film group because we ended up going out there and taping a show that never made it for it's either Roku or what's the other one? Starts with the K.
Tubby. It's Tubby.
No,
Tubi? No.
it's 4-letter word. Starts with an H.
Hulu.
Hulu. Yeah.
Right.
Due to infighting and differences among the production crew. They filmed, but it's never going to make it. But I got called and said they wanted to come use one of my habituation sites in Arkansas to do filming. Well, it wasn't this property. This has never been made public. This report. They had seen one of my BFRO reports and they wanted to use that one. I called those people and they demanded money and some gifts and stuff. And I said, really, people? No, they want to come out and film your story because it was in my book and they want to film your story. So if you want a bunch of stuff, forget it. So I called them. I said, my people aren't interested, but hey, I just happened to have literally got this dropped in my lap a couple of days before. I sent them this photo. I said, I want you to tell me if this is fake, if it's been altered or touched in any way. And they called me back within an hour. I said, we're on our way. It's legit. It has not been tampered with.
That's
So,
not fake.
Arla and Thom, what's your opinion on this hand?
It's not human.
Yeah, it's not. It
It's
looks like my ex-wife's
humanoid.
hands.
It is a humanoid, but it is not.
Human. Yeah.
It's not one of us.
It's not Homo sapiens sapiens.
No,
No,
It may be Homo sapiens hirsutii, but not Homo sapiens
I
sapiens.
love the look of the joints there.
Yes.
That's really cool.
and it could be
Yeah.
a juvenile that has not had his hand blossom and grow. You know, it could be a young Sasquatch, or take a pick, but it ain't human and it's not been tampered with.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So what
I got people sending me this shit all the time. It's like, this is awesome. It's habituation. They don't live on this property, they hunt it. He lives up the road on a different piece of property.
Yeah.
So that's the books.
Well, there we go.
So I've had a blast on here today, guys. This is a good intellectual conversation today. Couldn't believe it.
So I'm featured. I'm featured in this book, right? Did you?
Yes, yeah, I think you're. Let's see here. Yeah, you're in this one, I think. Yeah, chapter 8, nurturing a relationship. Yeah, you're in that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's probably a good book. Everybody could just skip over that chapter. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good chapter. But anyway, yeah, what a great series of books you got here. And so in closing, you obviously, do you feel like you're being guided by someone to do this? Do you feel like mission is kind of a strong word, but how do you feel
mission is the most appropriate word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being guided.
Just-
I'm being gently nudged, but
Right,
I
so-
don't need the nudging any longer. You know.
Yeah, it's kind
we need to give the people that are having these experiences, the habituation people, that's like an unknown quantity, because it's going on and nobody knows about it. It's like the dirty, creepy uncle nobody wants to talk about.
yeah.
Well,
By the
like
way, but yeah, exactly. By the way, if any of your habituators want to purge their soul and really come clean, they could always come on the show and you could join them or something if you wanted.
That's a possibility. I'm going to be talking to somebody later on this afternoon, so it might happen. This person may not want to be on camera, but
That's fine.
They would probably. I'll talk to them because
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because we're going to be taping something about the gifting process in about a week or so. So
we could do a whole show just on gifting. I used to do a lot of gifting in my first few years. Has some amazing funny stuff go on.
Yeah,
but it's a good way to get a relationship going. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's all about the relationship. That gifting is just kind of foreplay. Let's try this. Here's a bauble. Here's some hot dogs. Here's some bacon. Here's a bead or a necklace.
It's the fun.
Animal.
It's the enjoyment. It's the excitement of thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder what I'm going to find today.
And I'm
Exactly.
communicating with a primordial creature of unknown origin.
Yes, yes. It, and I say it again, that energy that is created in that goes out into our world. And that's some good stuff to be putting out into our world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll never forget my first gifting tree. Well, they did a bunch of really cool stuff and funny stuff, but I'll never forget the one time I went there and I looked at the base of the tree and there was about 10 glyphs right at the base of the tree. And I know how excited you were, Arla. You remember that first time. And it was a breakthrough moment for me. And I'm thinking, they are communicating with me with the stick writing. Not only is it a stick writing between them, which I knew it was, I kind of had a grasp of what the glyphs were, but that showed me that they are actually communicating with me through this. So there's a lot of possibilities in that for people to consider, as far as communicating or whatever.
There's one of my glyphs or gifts given to me. All it is a limb off a tree. The tree's been rotted away from it. But isn't that cool?
Very cool.
It's like a
Anyway.
torch.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very devious, and I know I maneuvered you into at least an extra half hour longer than you wanted to go, Carter, but we appreciate that.
Well, I soiled my pants, so as soon as we turn the camera off, I'm gonna be standing up and leaving.
Well, I had to make 2 exits in return, so.
But we appreciate you, and like once again, we only just kind of scratched the surface, so we'll have you on again.
You passed the torture test.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, this is about my 4th or 5th time with you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, you figured you would learn by now.
Oh, I'm not bright. I've done too many drugs in the 60s. All my comprehension skills are kind of off kilter. Yeah. You had me at hello. But enjoyed it, guys. It was really this is a real pleasure. So if I wasn't worn out from all this COVID crap, I'd be hanging out. But my throat.
Go buy Carter Buschardt's books. They're all good. 1, 2, and 3. And 4th is on the way.
Absolutely.
Where can we get those, Carter?
You can go to my website, but if you just email me, Facebook me, I'm selling all 3 for $50, and I eat the shipping, and they're all full color, autographed, nice glossy paper. They're nice books. Brian, you got one, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I can testify. Beautiful book.
Yeah, they're nicely done, so they're not the typical, cheap pulp paperbacks, which I get. There's, but I do color photos only. I can't do black and white. So, when if you just PM me and you send $50 to sqexplorer@gmail.com on PayPal, and I'll mail the books. But just PM me. Anybody listening, watching this, PM me, and I'll respond real quick.
Super.
Yep.
Super.
I recommend
it.
It's been enlightening.
Sure. It's been enlightening.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we'll all have to get together and just hang out and just not even have a show schedule or like a topic. We'll just start talking and go from there.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Thanks, Carter.
All right, guys.
Adios, amigo.
We'll see you.
Yep. Bye, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Arla.
Anybody want to share? Does anybody want to share anything before we wrap up?
I think it was a good show.
Oh, very good show.
That's a good show. It was very good. Lots and lots of stuff.
You missed my story last week. Well, I know you had to go because obviously.
Yeah.
But boy, they've been doing some funny things with the cliffs with Sue and I lately.
It's been hilarious around here too, but I mean, I'm dealing with, star people and everybody, all the other stuff that already goes on here.
How long is your star person story? Did you want to get into a little teaser for that show? I mean, because I got those pictures ready to go. I got that one picture.
No, we'll wait. I mean,
I
will just say that it's been a process of different ones coming and talking to me about their what it is that they do. The latest I drew a picture of her best I could, and then Ashley drew it again because I can't draw stick figures. You know? And but these are star people who work with the waters. They work with the waters
Oh,
on
the water, yeah.
primarily with moons, and these are moons or planets that are in their evolution of coming more to where beings actually are living on them, kind of like the Earth was. The Earth, came into its manifestation. Well, during that time, there were star people and Sasquatch people who were helping this process of these places coming into a full being as the Earth has done. But they're primarily water star people.
Wow.
So
They're terraforming from the water part of moons and planets. Is that what they're doing?
they're sustaining the natural course that goes on because water has its own life and energy and does what it does, and they're there to support that's going on. All water on any living, breathing planet like the Earth or a moon, all of the water's energy has to be connected over the whole thing, whether it's going through rock or whatever. But it's that energetic connection of the whole that helps. And of course, we know that the moon helps to control the tides, the ebb and flow of the water, which is not just the tides, but it's the water on the interior and the water that's around it. So these particular star people are talking to me about that and why they're still here on the earth.
Yeah. And we got a show we got a show coming up about that, and I think it's September 12th, Sasquatch and the Star People.
Yeah.
So hey, so can I quickly show you my glyph thing? Because you'll get a kick out of it. Because I actually did it on the last show, but I discovered something new that's really, really fun. Can I bore you again? You didn't see it actually, Arla.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So and Thom had some comments on this too, which I found really interesting. But so this is Sue and I came upon this. This is left right by our apartment, right? And here's your X with the variation. And this I saw Sue and I walking the path to where we were going. And we knew immediately it was them. But you said something pretty interesting about this, right, Thom? This is about being grounded or something? Or what
Is
did you
that
see
burnt?
Yeah, you're
Is that
grounded.
burnt
That's
on the
long.
end?
It's either burnt or it might be dirt from being in the ground.
Okay. Either way,
That's so this represents Todd and Sue.
Yeah, well, it does. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that much.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So anyway, this was magical. So I knew for sure they left it. I mean, no brainer. Oh,
yeah.
there's your star person. Sorry. So this is the bigger view of it. Okay, now this is really magical. So here it is. I took this picture, but when I initially took the picture, or when I saw it, I did not notice this thing right here, right?
Yeah, that's a ponytail holder around a little thing like a bouquet.
Okay, but I did not notice it, and they've given us bouquets before, and so I didn't notice it. So the next day we went back, and this is when I found the bouquet, and this is interesting because
That's cool.
I knew it was for Sue and I because this is our fish glyph, right? Look at how they wrapped it. This is a heart. And who's in the
That's
heart?
cool.
Two people, right? This is the new thing I saw. This is
Yep.
two people, Sue and I, wrapped in love in the heart. And this is our symbol. This is amazing. So okay, so that was an important message. And this is why what I'm going to say is so important. And there it is, or at least to me. So I didn't recognize this the first day, and I thought I'm going to go and videotape this and make a story. And when I was focused on this, and then when I went back and I saw, damn it, that thing was already there. I thought, oh shoot, because I thought they had placed it there, right? After the fact. And then I started thinking about it, and I said, wait a minute, this is better than that. They wanted me to see this for the obvious reasons of the message, right? Like I just showed you. And they took this piece, and I'm getting energy when I'm saying it, that was here, and moved it right beside this.
Yep.
To say, hey, dummy,
Yep.
didn't you see this?
Pay attention.
Didn't you see this? And I mean, look at the
Pay
beautiful
attention.
message there. And the other thing is I walked past you a couple times and tried to simulate how, if possibly, if my foot could have somehow touched this and kicked it over there. And no way, it just couldn't have happened.
Go
So
back.
Brian,
Go back to the one before this.
this one,
Keep going. No, go to the one before this one.
this one here. No,
That one. Not that one. The one you just went past.
are we going the right way?
back up one.
There.
The big stick is actually
All
pointing.
right. Now you go back and you look to where you see where that is. Look where that is. The
Pointing right
little,
at
This?
it.
look
Yep.
where that is. All right. Now go to the one where they put the stick over there by it.
Notice that's pointing right at that too.
I love this though. Isn't this beautiful? This
Yep,
part of
yep.
it.
That's gorgeous.
It is.
That's, I mean, just the sentiment. Look at the intelligence and the sentiment behind them. This is
Mhm.
definitely Sue and I, our glyph.
Yeah.
I mean, I read, that's for me to read between myself and them.
And
The
you got
heart
leaves on it. Does that
All
mean
right,
you're gonna have? It mean you're gonna have babies?
means I'm flaky.
Uh,
Does that
Go
make
back
sense?
to the other one where the
What?
stick was moved.
There.
Yeah.
That's
Now, see-
not in the same
No,
place
see, that's been
that
moved.
it was. They have moved
They
that.
moved that from
You
down
go
below
back
that
and look.
grass patch. Yeah, it
You-
was right down here below the grass patch. And
Yeah.
now it's been moved up its own
No,
length.
they did. They moved that too.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe they thought,
Now, Brian, take one more look here. To the left of the big stick,
a
you see
footprint.
you see a leaf, you see a
Hey, look at this,
footprint,
Tom. Look at
and you
this.
see the A
Yep.
print,
Oh my God, look at
and
this.
see the
There's
A,
an
Right there.
see
Yep,
the A,
there's a footprint. An
see the
A
A, see the A in the footprint.
Yes, I do. Right here.
right
yeah.
there.
Look at this perfect footprint. Oh my God. Wow. That's
So
amazing.
they had to move the little heart,
Mm-hmm.
which it showed. I believe it was like back down.
It was right in this little
Yeah.
gap at the bottom
Yeah.
of that green patch.
Yep. So they moved that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What an absolutely, with what Tom just pointed out, what an absolutely amazing picture. I mean, that's an obvious track to me. I mean, I can feel it and see it.
And it's signed.
And the little A in there. Yeah, it's signed.
But they
I
had,
mean,
it would be interesting to know if the track was there the first day, or did it show
Show
up
up when they moved
when
it.
they moved the little heart of you and Sue and moved the stick over there.
well, if that's the case, then that means like they're really trying to like, look, dummy. You're like, here's my track now. Here's the stick beside with the
Yep.
message. I mean,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
What are you circling there, Beans?
That's where the little thing was to begin with.
Yep.
Oh,
And
okay.
they moved it.
Do you see the track here too, Beans? Can you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Yep.
so
It's almost like Blue Big Toe. Cause
Yeah.
that big toe.
Oh
But
my
there are
God.
other family members that have that big toe.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
since, the kids are
I'd be interested to
delayed,
know how long that track is.
Well, I
About the
could
length,
probably,
about the
I mean,
length of that stick.
I think this stick is still out there somewhere.
Yeah,
all right. Did you take your little heart with you?
Oh yeah, I got this.
All right, then look at that and measure it, and then go to your footprint
Oh
and
Ma, I think this stick is still out there. So I think I could probably just,
get the
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
about the
well,
same.
footprint may still be there.
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, just look at something here. Yeah, I mean, just look at this just one more time. I mean, that is just blows my mind. But this is what I'm talking about as far as the communication that one can have with them, and it can come in so many different ways. But I
Yep.
mean, this is beautiful communication. This is a direct message, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
people everywhere, lots
yeah,
and lots and lots of people are getting this same thing. And then when you share it or they share it, then, that light bulb goes off. Oh my gosh, this is happening with other people too. And that's
yeah,
the awesome thing. This one is personal for you. The components of it, everything are personal for you. The things that they're doing for other people are personal. The components are personal to them.
And specific to
yeah.
them, yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
and I mean, and I
yeah.
mean, anybody who looks at this, I mean, to me, it's just like almost makes me want to weep just looking at it because it's such a beautiful personal message. But generally, to call these people monsters and to see what kind of person is going to leave you something like that and go to that, there's a lot of love and sentiment and caring in this gesture, right? I mean, it speaks to who they are. I mean, my God. And and the longer you look at it, some of these things, the more you discover. Like this, this latest thing, this heart, and circling the two representing Sue and I. I mean, look at the intelligence behind that.
And that your lives are all intertwined there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
yours, Sue's, and theirs lives are intertwined. They're
yeah.
woven together.
And and if you look at the background here, so right now Sue and I are in the process of at some point maybe buying a home, but we just live in an apartment for now. That was part of the thing to get her over here to become a landed citizen, and so we just live in an apartment, and this was just found, as you can see, right on the sidewalk
Yep.
of our apartment, and we find this kind of stuff all the time, like constantly. In every house I've been in since I've had the relationship with the Sasquatch consciously, they've been leaving stuff like this. And
Yeah.
this one's one of the sweetest ones, though. I mean, oh my God,
It's hard to beat that.
hard to beat it. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you, Ma, because I thought,
Thank you. I did see that glyph, but I didn't look at it. I
yeah.
mean, I
Oh,
looked
and
at it, but I didn't.
yeah, and Sue and I have kind of put the call out for the Sasquatch to help us with the camp out. Well, the last thing they gave us, they've given us 2 sleeping bags so far, 2 chairs or 3 chairs. And the latest thing they gave us is Tom's going to need a propane tank. He's got everything else. We went to a yard sale the other day, Sue and I, right? So we saw in this guy's garage, I guess he's got a moving out sale. There were 2 40-pound propane tank containers, right? Like not a speck of rust on them, perfectly brand new looking, half full of propane. The guy wanted $2 for the pair. $2.
Propane's worth a
This
whole
is
lot
like
more
two,
than that.
this is like about $300 worth of propane and tank.
Mhm.
So anyway, you know, everything's coming to us for the gathering, which is not that far away. It's going to be great to have us
Nope.
all together again.
Yep, it will be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I guess Mr. Beans, where did he go? I guess he took off. Should we wrap it up, or did you have something to
Yeah.
share, Tom, before we go?
I gotta go. I gotta go eat something.
I,
And I gotta get back outside. I've got more mowing to do. I got all my sage harvested. I just gotta process it.
we got a little rain today. Not much,
Good.
just a mist. But at least
Yeah.
the smoke's out of the air for a while.
Yeah, it was supposed to rain today, and like it rained a lot leading up to the camp out, which is what I'm praying for. And then we can actually have a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would really like to be able to sit around a fire instead of just
Yeah.
those propane tanks, but
Well, if you can't, get glow sticks, big long ones, and we'll make a fire.
we'll do something.
We've done that before.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, this was a good show. Carter's
Yeah.
always an interesting guest, and
He is. He is.
Good show.
Yep.
and
Most of them are. I don't think
Yeah.
I've watched any that weren't.
Mm.
But it's as Matthew says, it just gets gooder and gooder.
gooder and gooder.
Oh, tell him I really liked his trick with
With the dog. When I got in, he said, "You got to see this trick I taught you." The funny thing about it yesterday when I videoed that is he had messed with her too long, and she salivates when she sees those. And she had that big old drool. But if you notice, she never got anything on him. It was very gentle. That was just, I'm like,
That's
oh
funny.
boy.
Uh-huh. Well, I gotta go find something to eat too. I worked through lunch today.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming, and thanks everybody for watching. And it's been the Pork and Bean Show, and love you all, and we will see you all next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody. Here we go. Hey, Ma.
Hey, I'm gone.